Alrighty, everyone, we are live. So I'm going to be doing a pre-stream Q&A before we get the actual stream started. That way we can get the notifications out before we officially start the stream at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which then, of course, I'll bring on Josiah from National Coasters, and we'll go right into the stream, which will basically begin with introduction and immediately will lead into the news roundup. So that is going to be the plan here. If you have any questions for me specifically about any news things or just anything, now is the time to answer those questions, or to give me them anyways, and I can answer. So yeah, like I said, we're going to start with a little bit of Q&A for notification purposes, and that's going to be the plan. But I will say I'm actually thinking of changing how I start off the streams a little bit. So I actually came up with something basically yesterday, so you'll see that in action pretty soon. But yeah, how do I get in touch with National Coasters? So basically, I did a Q&A with him on his Discord server. I was invited by one of the moderators on there, so I got to meet him that way, of course. And I also have had Mark from Coaster Dash on Coaster Time, so it felt like a pretty natural thing to bring him on. So that's kind of how this stream came to be. And usually I don't have a previous connection with people, or at least that much of one, before I invite them on. Usually, like, me inviting them on is potentially about like the first like sort of thing I send. But in this situation, there was a little bit of history there, not too much, but just a little bit. So yeah. Random question: how do you apply to be a guest on here? So actually, I did just start to do this thing where basically you can fill out a Google form. It's in the description. It's a self-request form. If you want to come on and be a potential Coaster Time guest, filling out the form does not guarantee you will come on, but that makes it so that there's a chance you get on. And I'm actually going to be bringing some people on from that list, I guess, or out of the people who have filled out the form on pretty soon here. So it's a new thing I've introduced. I got a lot of requests for people wanting to come on. Usually I determine myself how that, like, I usually am the one who determines in the past who I bring on, and I didn't usually accept requests, but there was enough of it where I was like, I'll just have people do a form and I'll take some people in that way. But like I said, it's not a guarantee you will come on if you fill it out, but it gives you a better chance than not doing it. So make sure to do that if you are interested. It's in the description. And if you've already done it before, you don't have to do it again. It's not a new one. I'm going to keep it as the same one for as long as I can. But that's a newer thing I've introduced. So yeah, make sure to do that. Where do I rank the channel? Like, are you asking me? I don't really, I don't, I'm not going to talk about my coaster. I don't really have a true coaster channel ranking. I know I did it one time for a Coaster Time countdown. I just thought it was a cool subject. But I don't usually have like a ranking on me or anything, so I wouldn't know. But I really enjoy his content, especially as someone who has been interested in like kind of the weird coasters of the world. As some of you would know, like seeing some of my like previous like most anticipated coasters for a certain year videos, I go pretty hardcore in terms of the coasters I bring out there, or I've brought out anyways. I've gone into some coasters that were hardly ever covered on those lists, so seeing a channel like mostly dedicated to that is really cool. So I really enjoy his content for that reason. So yeah. But yeah, so but anyways, if you have any other questions, then I'll make sure to answer them, and then in a few minutes here we'll start the stream and I'll bring in Josiah, of course. So should be an exciting stream. Got a lot of segments as always, and got a surprise channel announcement as well, because I know Coaster Time this summer there hasn't been as many episodes as I would have liked, because my schedule went kind of crazy, and it still kind of is going crazy. but I'm kind of gonna do something this next week, which should hopefully kind of make up for that, because I wanted to get more episodes out this summer and it just wasn't possible. But exciting announcement coming in the news segment. When does he come on? At 3 p.m. Eastern time is the scheduled time. If there's any technical difficulties or anything like that, then that could be delayed a bit, but the plan is 3 p.m. Eastern or 12 p.m. Pacific. So yeah, that's pretty much the situation there. So yeah. Any other questions you have? Well, I'll answer them pretty quickly, and then we'll start the stream here at, like I said, 3 p.m. Eastern. So that is going to be the plan there. Just going to make sure that everything's good. I guess I should have checked if the audio is good. Clearly you guys can hear me, so that should not be an issue. And I guess we'll do another audio check once Josiah comes on, but that's pretty much going to be the thing here. We'll get started pretty quick. So yeah. Alrighty, so I'll just make sure real quick with something if everything's good. And then yeah. Clickbait thumbnail. No, he doesn't do clickbait thumbnails. I've seen channels do that. I wouldn't say he does. His videos are really good, so I've never had that problem at all. So no, he has some really good content. And yeah, I've been in the coaster community for a long time. I've been watching videos for like 9 years at this point. Even if I haven't been a YouTuber for that long. No, he's got some great stuff. I can tell you that. So really enjoy his content. So yeah. Not coaster related, but you're playing cities, skylines. There's a huge trash and power issues. I wouldn't know anything about that, but I've never even heard of that game. But I guess it's something I'll like just take a peek at after this, see what it's about. But that sounds like that's a bit of an issue there. But yeah, any questions? Like I said, just last 2 minutes you have, I'll answer, and then we'll get the stream started here pretty quick, which I'm very excited to do. First new guest I've had since I've taken the break from coaster time back in March, I believe it was. Took a little bit of a break, was planning to make a return this summer. I did, just wasn't as much episodes as I would have figured. 11 years of videos, only 8 as a YouTuber. 8, there you go. 9 years for me, but only for YouTube. I'm trying to remember. I started in 2019, so like a little over 3 years now, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, my name is Carrick, like Eric, but with a C or K in front. The spelling of it, I'm not even gonna bother telling you guys because it's a little bit weird. I mean, I guess I could. It's Carrick, but like, good luck remembering that. But yeah, that's my name. So yeah. Alrighty. It is 3 p.m. Eastern time for me now, or I guess 12 p.m. for me, 3 p.m. for likely a lot of you. So that's going to get us to sort of start the stream. And so I'm going to bring in Josiah in here and I'll do the intro, and that's going to be that. So that's going to be pretty much the start of the stream. So here we go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to the 34th episode of Coaster Time, hosted by me, Carrick from Coaster Hour. And today we will be doing a lot of different segments as always, including news, Q&A, Guess the Coaster, Buy or Sell, and a lot more. And for this episode, we of course have a special guest who is none other than Josiah from National Coasters, who has a rapidly growing channel with incredible content that usually focuses on the obscure and lesser known roller coasters of the world. So with that being said, Josiah, how are you doing?
Hey, can you guys hear me? Trying to see here. Cool. Can you hear me, Garrick?
Yeah, I had my thing off for a second, but yeah, I can hear you now.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm Josiah. Thanks for having me on. I'm super excited to be here. Appreciate the praise. It's cool to see a lot of you here, and I'm hoping it's gonna be a fun stream. Excited to talk to you guys and just talk coasters. I always love doing it.
For sure, and it's a pleasure to have you on here. So it's very much appreciated for you to come on. So really appreciate that, and it should be a great stream. So I'll just make sure for the chat, the audio is good between the two of us, because sometimes we've had issues with audio like balancing, but that hasn't been an issue for a while. So I just want to get a confirmation there, and then we'll head straight into the news. But yeah, and you got the green screen in the background. Nice.
Yeah, this is where all the videos come through. I had I think it might have been Attractions 360 or someone had mentioned in a comment that I start doing green screens in the intros, and so I started doing that. And yeah, so I ordered this, and here we are. That's where I do most of my stuff now.
Pretty cool little sort of I guess inside look at things, so that's pretty cool. So
Yeah, behind the scenes, I guess it's cool.
yeah.
Awesome.
Alrighty. I think everything's good, so we're gonna head straight into the news pretty much just like that. And so that is going to be the plan. So we have a lot of ride openings since the last stream. The last stream was over a month ago, so a lot to cover. I'm going to run through these pretty quickly and gather your thoughts, Josiah, toward the end on like the ones that stood out to you. But in terms of ride openings, or just openings in general, we had Lost Island Theme Park open. New park in Iowa looks really well themed. Fireball's open at Adventureland Long Island. That's the RES rollerball. I did an interview with one of the family members who owns the park, so if you haven't checked that out, make sure to. We also have the Wonder Wheel, which is a large Ferris wheel at Energylandia, along with Sick at Flamingo Land, which is a new Intamin 10 inversion coaster at the park in the United Kingdom. Along with that, we also have Dingo Racer, which opened, which is a unique layout for a Reverchon spinner. You don't usually see that. You also have Fantawild Glorious Orient, a new park in China, which has opened with a Vekoma Top Gun, along with Tornado Chasers, which is the ride on the bottom right, which has the world's largest cylindrical LED screen ever created. So pretty crazy. That's at Futuroscope in France. And then you also have Defiance at Glenwood Caverns, which is the Gerstlauer Eurofighter. So a lot of rides there. And for our last little leg of openings, we have Fantawild Land in Taizhou. Might have butchered that, but doing my best. Which has a Renegade, the first one to ever operate. We also have Wonder Woman Flight of Courage at Magic Mountain, which both of us, I believe, were actually able to ride on preview days, just at different times, or preview day at different times. And then we also had Skybender at Peony Playland, which is a first of its kind Zamperla flat ride, along with Avengers Campus at Walt Disney Studios. A lot of rides to go through. Which one of these stood out to you the most?
You know, I do love the obscure stuff, but I have to give some praise to Wonder Woman. That was a phenomenal ride. Blew my expectations away as someone who's not a fan of the single rails I've ridden in the past necessarily. I thought Wonder Woman was an awesome addition to the park, and I thought it was just super fun. I don't know if you can say the same, but I really enjoyed it personally.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it myself as well. I got first ride, which is cool, but it's also not as cool when like it probably ran better when you rode it. But I still thought it was a lot of fun, and I think it's a really good addition for Magic Mountain, especially that area, because Batman the Ride and Riddler's Revenge are uber intense, and this is definitely less than that, but it's still pretty exciting and fun. So I think it makes for a good addition there. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. Any other ones that interested you of the bunch, or?
I think Lost Island, just that whole situation, especially with that Intamin accelerator that got relocated. I think that's pretty exciting to see come back after all these years, just because I've made a video previously on it at its old park, and just again seeing it come back is really cool, because when a coaster closes, you're always concerned it's going to go away forever, but this one made a reappearance. Along with, I was noticing too, I was making a video on a coaster at Space World. What was it? It was another Intamin accelerator, Saturn. That'll be a future video for those watching coming. And yeah, just seeing that reopen was super interesting, and that whole park in general. So super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, Matugani hasn't quite opened yet, the Intamin Accelerator, but hopefully should be opening pretty soon. Really exciting just because it's coming back from being Kanonen, as you mentioned, but should be really exciting.
Totally.
It's also a good thing that you mentioned Space World, because that leads me into my next thing. We also had some ride reopenings. Most of these ones here are just refurbishments. Pagoda at Efteling had been closed since February. It's back open, along with Trailblazer at Hershey Park has recently opened for the season. Also had to get some refurb work. Pirates of the Caribbean at Disneyland was closed for a few months. It's back open. The Bat at Kings Island had a derailing issue a few weeks back, but it's back open. And Orbit at California's Great America, which has also received a refurbishment, that is the Enterprise attraction, that is also back open, along with 2 rides that have been closed for a really long time. Venus GP has reopened at Himeji Central Park. This originally did operate at Space World, but it is back open under the same name, which is pretty interesting. And then you also have Red Car Trolley, which has been closed since 2019 and is a transportation ride at Disney California Adventure. So, any thoughts on any of these?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, Venus GP just coming back is obviously a huge deal for me. That was one of the, I would say, original coasters that I saw that weren't necessarily mainstream in the community, where I thought it was super interesting to look at. And so that was one of those first things that kind of took me down the path of doing the obscure stuff, is when I saw this thing that had a loop that looked pretty much as big as Full Throttles at first glance. And that's just super exciting to see it come back, because when it closed a couple years back, I was super bummed about it. So seeing it relocated and coming back is super cool. And when I saw a video on Coaster Hub of it operating, I sent it to some friends, and we were all excited. So super cool to see that little guy come back.
Yeah, for sure. I believe it was also Mauer's first coaster, so
Yep.
yeah, it was pretty exciting ride, and it looks pretty fun. And it's cool that they paid homage to the old one by keeping essentially like the same color scheme and name, so that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
Next, we have some opening dates. Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger, the big one here. July 30th is when it's supposed to open. It's supposed to have pass holder previews on the 29th for those of you interested. And then also Pirate River Quest, which will be a family boat ride at Legoland, Florida, has a November 2nd opening date. Thoughts on either of these?
I'm excited for their dive coaster. Obviously, it's B&M's first time in a while coming back into the Six Flags chain. And so that's exciting. I also think it's going to be a pretty good addition to that park personally. I just rode Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego recently with Mark and Noah from Theme Park Fun. And I think they're really solid rides. B&M Dive might not be my first decision if I was in charge of a park, but I think for the GPs and even for some enthusiasts, they're really solid. And I'm excited to see it open and see what the consensus is in the community here.
Yeah, I'm excited for it to open as well, just because I'm really curious about like the theming behind it, because it sounds like they put a lot of work into the queue line, so that's going to be interesting to see how well done that is. But it looks like they put a ton of effort into it, which is awesome. And it has a pretty interesting layout for a dive, especially with that airtime hill. We'll see if that how that runs, but it looked really promising, so I'm pretty excited for it as well. And at very worst, if you go to Fiesta Texas and you're not a fan of dive coasters, it'll take the crowd away from the other rides, so that's another added benefit of it. But should be a great ride on its own, so
Totally.
pretty exciting. Next, we have construction updates. We have a bunch, and huge thanks to some of the places, some of the content creators who allowed me to use their stuff. I had to reach out to them, and I'll kind of mention them off as I go through some of the stuff here. But the Intamin multi-launch at Parque Warner Madrid has topped off. This picture from the, official thing, but there it is, looking pretty crazy actually. You also have the Golden Horse LSM launch coaster at Silk Road Paradise in China that has gone vertical, along with Yoshi's Adventure at Epic Universe, which this picture is from Bio Reconstruct. Make sure to check him out on Twitter. He has amazing aerial photos of construction really all over the Orlando area, but especially for Epic Universe. And then also the Intamin motorbike coaster at Fuji-Q Highland has gone vertical, with this picture being from Love Coasters XD on Twitter. This was the poster picture from a few weeks ago. And then along with that, we have a few other construction things. Dark Coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg has gone vertical. The SeaWorld San Diego Intamin motorbike track has arrived. This picture from Parks Bros. Of course, great channel. Make sure to check them out for California coaster updates, really in general, and also just really good reviews. You also have Wild Adventures, which has its construction walls up, teasing something for 2023. And you also have Montezuma's Revenge with its flywheel mechanism that has been removed. This picture is from Cindy Garbino of the Knots Network Facebook group. So also shout out, make sure to check out that Facebook group in general and everything there. And then we also have Liberty Twirlers at California's Great America, which has also gone vertical. This picture from Coaster Labs on Reddit, who I believe is actually also Amusement Labs, like the content creator. So a lot of cool stuff. Which one of these like sort of construction updates or just like rides or projects in general intrigues you?
I think for me, they're all intriguing for sure in their own right. I think Montezuma's Revenge with that removal of the flywheel, and then even you can see a bit of the loop there in the left side of the photo. I think that's intriguing in its own right for a number of reasons, especially considering too, I'm curious when and whatever they end up doing to it, if it's going to keep its ace notoriety. I've been talking to a lot of friends about it. A lot of people think it should get taken away. Other people think it should stay. So I think that's super just interesting to see. I actually saw it in person a couple days ago when I was driving up. I live fairly close to Knott's Berry Farm, and sad but also understandable to see. So I'm very excited to see what Knott's decides to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It is interesting. It definitely doesn't look like they're probably putting it back if they removed it, but
Probably not.
you never know. We'll have to see what becomes of this and what becomes of Montezuma's Revenge in general, because it's a more significant refurb than I originally expected, with track pieces looking like they're getting replaced and everything. So very interesting project there.
Agreed.
The next thing we have are some rides that have tested. So we have Tony's Express, which is a Vekoma Junior coaster, custom layout at Luna Park in New York, has tested recently. And then the Vekoma Tilt prototype has also tested. This is not the prototype. Couldn't get a picture of it. This is Gravity Max for reference, but basically it's just a tilt track that they were testing the tilt. They weren't actually letting the coaster go. But any thoughts on, I guess, the tilt sort of resurgence?
I think it's super cool. I did a video, I think a lot of you know, that Giovanola, back a long time ago when they were first introducing plans for a tilt coaster, Six Flags Magic Mountain was on the list to potentially get one. And of course, we saw Gravity Max open, and Jimma Rides has their take on it a little bit, but it really has never been that popular or mainstream, despite, I think, its apparent kind of excitement with the general public and enthusiasts. The concept's just really interesting. So seeing it come back, and especially with the improvements that Vekoma's been making in recent years, I'm curious to see how it's going to go with that. I think Vekoma's done a great job recently. I'm very close with them. They have some awesome new rides coming out, so I think they can definitely do something pretty astronomical with the tilt coaster, and it's going to be super fun to see that thing open and get on it. I've never personally ridden a tilt coaster to that degree, so I'm excited to see what goes on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's an exciting model to kind of come back into the fold all of a sudden. So I'm excited to see how they do, especially with Circuit Breaker coming up. that should be pretty exciting. Next, we have ride delays, which is just Aquaman Power Wave this time around, thankfully. It's unfortunate it's being delayed, but I think a lot of people could kind of see it coming. Your thoughts on this?
I mean, I went to Six Flags over Texas probably like 2 years ago at this point, and that thing was still there. This thing's just been taking forever to get open. I honestly am not very knowledgeable in why. I'm sure someone else could tell a lot more, but definitely been sitting there for a minute, and I've heard these are super fun. So I am bummed on the one hand it's not open yet, but I'm also glad Six Flags is having it, I think, so far go forward with it. So 2023 hopefully will be its inaugural year finally, and I'm sure it'll get great ridership when it opens.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. I think the general feeling even before the announcement was just that how much summer is left for them to actually open this, and I guess they determined not enough. So kind of understandable. Hopefully they get things figured out for next year and it does well for them. Next, we have some ride closures. The ones in black and white have already closed. The ones that are not in black and white, you can still ride if you're near them. But Hammerhead Shark, which was a really cool looking flat ride at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, Zamperla Hawk model, that is closed for good recently. Freefall at Himeji Central Park, which is actually the one with the water bucket, unfortunately, has closed for good as well. And Wildcat at Hershey Park, obviously that's kind of the bombshell here. That one is closing for good on July 31st, which weirdly enough is my birthday, so that's kind of interesting. And Tornado and Wave Swinger at a park called Tokyo Summerland. They used to have a large Aero suspended coaster. Those two rides are being removed and closing on September 25th, likely for a water park expansion. So I guess we'll go to Wildcat, or I guess you can choose whichever one you want to focus on, but any thoughts on any of these?
Yeah, I mean, I think just briefly hitting on most of them, seeing a Freefall close is sad, obviously. Those are super nostalgic rides for a lot of people. That flat ride at Discovery Kingdom, I rode it. I thought it was pretty fun. But yeah, kind of hitting on Wildcat as the main thing here. I personally, look, I'm a fan of the old stuff. You guys know that. GCI is great. I know it has its historical significance, but in general, I'm super excited to see this thing get some sort of a refurbishment, whatever that's going to be. I was not a fan of Wildcat when I rode it. I really disliked it a lot. So seeing it, whatever it is, happen to it, it's exciting for me personally. So I'm hoping Hershey will do something cool with it and add to their lineup a little more.
Yeah, I know it's not official yet, but I mean, it's getting pretty close, especially there was a article that was with an interview of the current president of GCI, and he actually mentioned in that interview that I should have put it just didn't put it in here because I was like I put it out there on like Instagram, but basically he said that they were trying to get the steel coaster project for Wildcat and they were competing with someone else, and ultimately they didn't get the job. He thought they were, but they didn't. So that wording wasn't great, but if you read it, it definitely is very, very much leaning toward the RMC side of things. So
Yep.
Pretty exciting stuff, but we'll have to wait for the official announcement, I suppose. Next, we have California's Great America, and huge thank you, I guess, to Imperial Coasters, or huge shout out to Imperial Coasters. He made this sort of edit and for me to put on here, so that's appreciated. So huge shout out to him for doing that. But in terms of California's Great America, Cedar Fair has sold the land that the park sits on to a company called Prologis or Prologis. I don't know how to pronounce it. And the park will close at some point within the next 11 years. It's actually more like in 6 years because someone looked into the terms of it. It's a 6-year lease with a 5-year additional option if Cedar Fair wants to add it. They're probably not. And then also the deal also includes a thing where Prologis can force the park to close within 2 years at any time. And also a little extra nugget to this is that Gilroy Gardens is the contract with Cedar Fair for them to operate the park expired at the end of last year. They announced it a few days ago after the Great America thing went down. So they are no longer part of Cedar Fair. But interestingly, I guess because they didn't get the word out quickly enough, you can still, I guess, visit if you have a Cedar Fair Platinum pass. I don't know how that all worked, but really weird situation there. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to see a park close, and it's kind of weird knowing inevitably it's going to happen to this one. California's Great America is also a park that I think a lot of people love, but if all things considered, if you're looking at it from a management and park perspective, I think it's understandable, especially with a lot of their rides too being fairly easy to relocate, which I think we will see with the majority of their attractions. So, bummer for sure. I'm not as emotionally attached to CGA as a lot of enthusiasts are. So while it is sad, I do get it. And I hope that Cedar Fair will do something productive with the attractions there that they can. And Gilroy Gardens too, just having that branch off, it's just kind of funny to me. I don't know. I don't have much opinion on it, but at least that's still there. At least they're both still here for now. So get out and ride the stuff while you can. You will definitely regret it if you don't. So that's just my advice and I guess kind of take on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the key thing here. I should have mentioned for Gilroy Gardens, the city already like owned it, or at least they pretty much owned it and they had Cedar Fair operate it, was my understanding of the deal that was there. So the city is just kind of doing everything right now currently. So I assume it'll stay that way unless they find someone else. And as for this move in general, I mean, I guess Cedar Fair, I understand that Great America was really like a lot of expansion plans hadn't gone through, the Levi Stadium being right there and causing them to close on certain days where they had to use the parking lot didn't really help. And I know it's expensive up there in NorCal just to run things, but still very unfortunate. Hopefully we get to see rides like Trailblazer, and I'm really hoping, but unlikely, Gold Striker gets relocated, but we'll see. Pretty unfortunate. Next, we have Worlds of Fun. A Project 50 grading plan has been found that mentions items for a wooden coaster. I think specifically it was more tied to like foundations and support type sort of items. And then also yesterday, some permits were also found that tied a current Skyline Attractions engineer to the project, which seems to indicate this will be a GCI project of some sort. Some people are speculating Titan Track, since that would stand out. Your thoughts on this?
I'm excited for it. I think it's much needed. Their last edition, I believe, I don't know if this is wrong, but I think Prowler was their last.
Yeah,
coaster.
That's correct.
So I think definitely it's much needed. It's been a long time. Worlds of Fun is one of those parks that has an amazing history. And I think it's super good for them. I'm excited. I'm going to hold out. I haven't been to Worlds of Fun myself, but I'm going to hold out for the addition of whatever this is going to bring so I can go visit and experience it for the first time. I think it's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see this park finally get something.
Yeah.
They have not gotten a new coaster since I've been in the community, so that's a while. But it is interesting that they're going either a wooden or at least most likely a wooden or potentially like a hybrid route. Pretty interesting considering they got Prowler and their last, I guess they worked a lot on Timberwolf, which they've kind of been advertising like the whole retract. So,
Yeah.
But regardless, should be a great addition and I'm excited for the park.
Same.
Next we have Tiana's Bayou Adventure. This will be the replacement to Splash Mountain here at Disneyland and at Disney World at the Magic Kingdom. They have announced the name for it, which is the name I mentioned, and that is supposedly coming in late 2024. Interestingly enough, we did not get a closing date or time frame on Splash Mountain, but my guess is probably in a few months here. So write it while you can if that's something you're looking into. I'm interested and excited to see what Disney can do with this new theme. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you. Splash Mountain's a classic. I love it. I grew up with passes to Disney for 7, 8 years, just going as a family, not even as an enthusiast, just when I was a little kid. And definitely, I think Splash Mountain's a little outdated as far as their current animatronics and things go. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this theme. Hopefully, it will be better. I think just kind of looking back at even Tower of Terror when they did Guardians of the Galaxy on that. A lot of people were hesitant and even upset about it at first, but it ended up being better. And so Disney kind of has a reputation of doing that in a good way. So I'm hoping this will be a similar kind of turnout.
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping it goes to the Tower of Terror route and with Guardians because I really like Guardians as well. So, yeah, so that should be a pretty exciting thing there. And then we also have Warner Bros. Movie World in Australia. They just announced a new Wizard of Oz area for 2024, which will include 2 to 3 new Vekoma coasters, depending on how you look at it. A family suspended coaster, along with a dueling family boomerang. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, again, I am a huge fan of Vekoma. Looks like Mark just popped in. I think Mark's probably joining
saw
from
that.
somewhere in Europe. What's up, Mark? I'm excited. Again, I love Vekoma. A lot of some of their designers, Benjamin Blumendahl being one of the newer ones who's been in charge of a lot of these great coasters we've been seeing. I love their little family boomerangs and their takes on that. As you can see in this rendering here, there should be some good stuff coming. I'm very excited for it, even if it's nothing amazing. Either way, anything Vekoma puts out that's new, I'm a big fan of, and I think you guys should be too. Vekoma's really just stepped up their game so much. And I'm really happy for them.
Yeah, I mean I haven't really ridden any of their new generation stuff, so I really need to do that whenever I get the chance. But these rides look pretty exciting for this area, and I don't think we've seen a Wizard of Oz themed area at a significant one at any park. I might be wrong on that, which is kind of weird considering how long it's been around and how it would seem like it would work well for a themed area, but I guess we get to see it now, so that's kind of cool. So, yeah.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. And he's in Germany. All right, nice.
Hello. Oh, yep, there you go.
Yep. Alrighty, next we have Fried. They have confirmed the existence of their 2023 Gersauer launched invert. You can find it on forums and things out there, videos. RCDB even has the coaster listed now, but they basically sent out surveys to people signed up to a newsletter with pictures of this coaster, and the name of the coaster will be Storm the Dragon Legend. Still a lot to kind of be figured out with the ride, and of course, it's a pretty unique one, so it's definitely one I have my eyes on, but pretty exciting new coaster to finally get some confirmation behind it. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, Juice and Fried was one that I was actually going to go to this summer, and potentially even last summer before coronavirus happened. And knowing the addition of this is happening next summer, I'm planning to make a trip out there. Juice and Fried, they are super cool. They were one of the first theme parks to follow me when I just had, maybe 5,000 followers, hardly anything on Instagram, and they were super supportive, invited me out. So I have been trying to get to this park forever. Speed Monster looks super fun. This new launch thing's coming is going to be awesome. So hopefully next summer I'll get out there for you guys and I'll have an update. I'm very excited for it. Definitely. I'm excited about all this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. This one just super, super cool to get a launched invert, especially we haven't seen too many, only I think one off the top of my head since Volcano was demolished. So, and that was in China. So, with Dueling Dragons. So it's cool to see something like this. So I'm excited. Next we have, boy, I'm gonna have a tough time saying this. Fruvik in Sweden. They have announced their new for 2023 coaster Lightning, which will be a custom Vekoma family launch coaster. I believe it has a top speed of like of 46 miles per hour. So it's not like you're a junior coaster, just like more sped up. It's a actual like kind of family launch coaster that will go through its layout twice. It has a pretty short layout, but it'll go through it twice. So pretty interesting. Your thoughts here?
Yeah, again, just same. I think it's fun to see Vekoma doing some interesting stuff. I also don't know the numbers exactly, but I'm sure based on the amount of installations we're seeing from them with anywhere from family to extreme coasters, they are probably a little more affordable than other companies for sure, and can provide a just as good of, if not better experience than some other manufacturers out there. So again, just exciting to see more Vekoma, and I think I'm just keep it coming, Vekoma. See more of them.
Absolutely. And this is a pretty small park in Sweden. I believe they only have two other coasters right now, so it's cool to get to see them get something like this. That's like looks like a really high-end coaster, so that's really cool. Next, we have Grönalund in Sweden. They have gotten their expansion plan approved. So, and the expansion plan includes this. It's basically this concept art here is their plan. So we'll have to see what exactly, if they do get a coaster, like in the concept art, what exactly it will look like. But should be pretty interesting to kind of follow over the next few years. Your thoughts on this?
I think it's interesting they're getting one so soon, especially with their recent installation of Monster. So yeah, I think good for them. That's cool. They've obviously done some awesome stuff, and they really know how to work around terrain and include theming and just all things that make a great theme park. So I'm happy for them. That's another park I'd like to get over to sooner than later. So hopefully that'll happen in the near future here.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It looks really the park I have not been to. I mean, I haven't been to Europe in general, but it's crazy how much they're able to fit into a very compact plot of land. And I mean, this will be, I guess, a little nicer now that they have some new land to work with, but still should be a great addition for what looks like a really unique and awesome park. So that's
Totally.
good to see. Next, we have Ventura Entertainment. They have sold their 4 Mexican amusement parks, with their most notable being Selva Magica, home of Bullet, to a company called the Dolphin Company, which mostly operates dolphin attractions, but they do have one amusement park in Italy called Zoo Marine, so along with 2 water parks. So they're a little experienced in that field, but that is a change in ownership. Ventura actually used to operate La Feria Chapultepec before it ended up closing. So, in my opinion, probably a good change just for that reason alone. But your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, you'd hope it'd be a good change. I'd hope so too. Bullet, again, just it's still here, so that's cool. I'm not sure if Mark is still watching somewhere, but obviously he rode that a while back, and they also have that super cool Sensei Yusoki little airtime thing that was originally Sky Streak at Pablo Island. Um, Hopefully they'll do good stuff with the parks. I'm sure there's not much. You definitely can only go uphill with the way the current ones are being operated. So I'm very, very pleased to see it. Hopefully they do a good job. The companies that's already been running them, they've been doing fine as well. So all around, I think it's going to be a good choice for everyone.
Yep, I don't have experience with these parks, so I don't have too much to add. But like I said, probably a good addition, or a good change, hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Next, we have this. This is this piece of news, which kind of came really recently. The Cast Group in Israel, who owns the park that we've talked about in the past, that has a rather unfortunate name, Magic Cast. They have announced a new indoor water park that'll come next to it called Cast Fantasy, and they also apparently have a shuttle coaster planned based off the concept art, which appears to be an Intamin Impulse, just based off the concept art, but it is concept art, so we'll see what actually comes out of it. But if it is an Intamin Impulse, pretty interesting to see a new one. So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. It'd be interesting to see a new one, especially with the such recent closer of Wicked Twister. Again, like you said, concept art, it's always all hands in the air. It's just art, but it'd be interesting to see. And obviously, Intamin has gone pretty high as far as literal height on coasters goes with the Intamin Impulse models. So, I mean, you never know. You might see something super cool. Reminds me a little bit of Skyrocket 2, is just how they can kind of pop up pretty quickly and be pretty large in size with a relatively small footprint. So I think that'll be cool, especially it being at a water park. It'd be a much more popular attraction, I think. And I personally find the Intimate Impulse to be a pretty fun model for sure.
Yeah, and someone brought it up that Legendary Twin Dragon opened in 2021. So when I saw this, I'm like, might they go for the record? Even if they don't, still will be a cool ride. So we'll have to see. And interestingly, in the concept art, if you zoom in close enough, the name of the coaster is Twister,
Yeah.
which is pretty funny. But yeah. Next, we have another piece of news. This is definitely, we're really getting to the obscure side of things. A new theme park in Vietnam called Sun World Mao Sun has been announced. It is from the Sun Group in Vietnam, and they have multiple parks, including Sun World Han Tom. I probably butchered that, but that's the one that has the GCI Roaring Timbers. And that'll supposedly open in 2025. It has some pretty cool looking concept art. We don't really know what to expect in terms of rides, though, but something pretty interesting. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, same as you. I mean, we don't know what to expect for sure, but I think a lot of times, especially with these countries over in Asia and more obscure places, obviously funding's a lot different than the way things work for a lot of more mainstream places and things to enthusiasts like us here in the States and even in Europe and places just around. I think a lot of times they do hold their word and we get some pretty cool stuff that comes out, even if parks do fail and don't get the attendance they'd hoped. Either way, I very much think this will be a super cool park when it opens, and I have no doubt they're going to provide something really interesting for the community.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if it looks anything close to the concept art, it's going to be pretty cool. So
Yeah.
that's obviously really exciting. Next, we have our last leg of news, which are rumors and supposedly plans for a new Star Wars area at Walt Disney Studios in Paris have been canceled. This is believed to have been the case because of the park president's answer to a reporter's question to if the Star Wars area was still coming, and she specifically stated in quote, "We are still working on the third theme. We will make announcements about this when we are ready." So some people believe that means they're working on something else potentially, but it is a rumor, not confirmed. The quote is real though. So your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think, personally, I haven't been back to Disney since the addition of Galaxy's Edge, so I don't have a ton to say on this. I've heard it's awesome. I probably should go. I just haven't. I think for me, that bit of news isn't particularly like exciting or not exciting. It's just kind of there for me. If it opens, that'd be cool to see. I do love the Star Wars genre in general. And like I said, I very much need to get over and visit Galaxy's Edge, especially Disney's only 30 minutes from me. So I don't know. I don't have an excuse. I just haven't gone. I definitely need to do that. I know a lot of people are always, why aren't you over there? Why aren't you getting out there experiencing Galaxy's Edge? It's the best themed land in the world. And I need to go. I need to go for sure.
Yeah, I will say that I have been to it, and I know there's different opinions on the land. I like it, but the actual rides I think are like probably the biggest loss here for Walt Disney Studios. They've kind of been in an identity crisis for a while now. I know it's a park that is considered by most who have been to it and other Disney parks to be the least good of the bunch. And so something like this probably would have been really nice. But we'll have to see what their plans have shifted to in the future if this indeed happens and it is canceled. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Next, we have a few Cedar Point rumors. So there was a rumor from Screamscape. Always got to take it with a grain of salt. that Psycho Mouse from California's Great America could be relocated to Cedar Point for the 2023 season. I very much doubt that happens, but it's a rumor, so I'll put it out there. And also, supposedly, according to Parque fans, they have claimed that they didn't actually show the document though, which was a little weird, but usually they're pretty well onto things. But they claim that a large portion of the area near Wicked Twister's former plot of land will be used for a new boardwalk area that goes far beyond the leaked pavilion. They did not say if this would be for 2023 or like a multi-year project, but some rumors there. Your thoughts on this?
I mean, personally, I kind of hope Psycho Mouse does not get relocated to Cedar Point. That's just my personal opinion. At some point, I'm also just too picky. You have to look at it from a park's perspective because they're definitely catering more to the general public than the enthusiasts, obviously. I also think that this large portion near Wicked Twister's former plot of land, being a boardwalk area or something along those lines, would be pretty cool. They have quite a bit of space to work with over there now. What they will do with it, I mean, we've all been wondering that. So hopefully sometime soon we'll start to see progress on what that's going to look like. And I'm actually going back to Cedar Point in 2 to 3 weeks here, so maybe I'll be able to walk on over and just kind of get hands on and see what's up over there.
Yeah, I mean that yeah, you'll probably be able to get some pretty good shots of at least the rumored pavilion because apparently that started going vertical recently.
Yeah.
So it'll probably have even more work done by then. So definitely some things to look out for sure when you're there. Next we have King's Dominion. They supposedly have a plan or a phase 2 plan for their jungle expedition area. This is also a Screamscape rumor that will include a jungle re-theme of Backlot Stunt Coaster, which apparently kind of sticks out at the park. And this would also come along with the relocation of Berserker, which is the Schwarzkopf Barren Curve from California's Great America, as they say it will be a spiritual successor to the park's former Mount Kilimanjaro Barren Curve attraction. Your thoughts on this?
I think it's much needed for the Backlot Stunt Coaster. When I visited Kings Island for the first time a few years back, I rode the Backlot Stunt Coaster there and loved it. It had all the effects working. The theme was still more or less there. And then when I just went to King's Dominion maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, no effects. Everything looked pretty run down, faded. Even that poster there you can see where the trains come out at the end was just very sun stained and kind of gross. So I think King's Dominion has definitely realized that, and they are part of a premium chain, and I think they are a pretty premium park. So seeing that change for this coaster, I think would be a major upgrade, and you'll have no complaints from me. I hope they do that.
Yeah, for sure. I hope this one comes true because if it's based like I obviously you mentioned your experience with Backlot Stunt Coaster is not in great shape. I've heard similar things from other people, so that definitely would be good to see them update it for sure. Next, we have our last sort of rumor and news thing, which is a Screamscape rumor, which supposedly is that Universal will make their first expansion area to Universal's Epic Universe themed to the Lord of the Rings franchise or Middle Earth, which I think a bunch of people have had questions about it just because of like the rights stuff, but it is a rumor, so who knows if it's true. Your thoughts on this?
Man, Lord of the Rings just as a whole is something that's always been just awesome. I very much enjoy all of the movies as long as it takes to watch them all. Likewise, my dad's a big fan. It's one of those that I think can be hit or miss. I'm glad Universal's the one doing it, but Lord of the Rings is one of those super kind of, you got to be careful with it because you can totally butcher it or you can make it something awesome. I'm hoping they make it awesome. There is some awesome things that they could do with that whole genre and just series and stuff with that. So I think it's a good thing, assuming they do it the right way. And with what we've seen from Universal, they don't skimp out. They usually go all in. And I think they definitely could create one of the best lands ever. Hopefully that'll come to go. Someone else said there's a new series coming in September.
Yep, on Amazon Prime. Yeah.
There is. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'll watch it and give it a try. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not super big into the franchise, like hardly at all. I mean, I've seen, I think, all but one of the movies, but it has been a long time ago, so.
It's an adventure. It's one of the best.
But it seems like definitely if they do it right, it has the potential to be a really cool sort of area. I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, but I really like what they've done there, so that's definitely promising. And then I have a few channel announcements I want to bring in here just before we finish. I mentioned that I have not gotten as many Coaster Time episodes out as I wanted. Well, surprise, I'm actually going to be doing another Coaster Time episode this Tuesday. This is the first time I've ever done one within a week. I go to Atlanta less than a week from now, actually, so that's why it's happening. It could be a while before the next Coaster Stream time stream after this one, but I will be with Zach from Theme Park Guide Productions, who is a current Disney cast member, so he works at Disney's Hollywood Studios, so that should be pretty fun. Make sure to tune into that if you can. And then we also have this I wanted to mention. Someone brought it up, but if you are interested in becoming a Coaster Time guest, one way that can help you to potentially become a guest is by filling out the self-request form in a description. Filling out the form doesn't guarantee you will come on, but it does give you a better chance of coming on than not, if that makes sense. So that is the announcements there, and I have a little teaser for a new sort of big channel announcement coming. I'll be kind of throwing these out there in the streams and wherever, maybe community posts. But this is teaser number 1. It will be pretty cryptic and vague at first, but as you kind of go along, it'll kind of make maybe a little more sense. But the countdown has begun. You'll see what that means in the future. So with that said, that's going to be everything for the news. That went a lot longer than I expected, so but that's all good, and we'll move on to our next segment, which will be Guess the Coaster. So essentially how this works, I'll start it off here, is one of us will be thinking of a coaster, and you guys in the chat will try to ask yes or no questions, which will serve as trying to get the clues, and that'll be the way we do it. So I'm going to start off first. I'm thinking of a coaster, and those of you in the chat can ask questions. Josiah, you can also ask questions in the chat, but since we are ahead here, if you have like a specific coaster you're trying to guess, we have the private chat here on StreamYard. Put it in that chat like your actual answers, so that way we don't get any spoilers.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Totally.
And if you're still a little confused, you'll pick up on this thing pretty quickly here, so shouldn't be too difficult. But yeah, I have my coaster. I got my coaster, so you guys in the chat can guess with your questions, and that's going to be how we're going to start. But yeah. The coaster is not blue, so that is the first question we have. It is not blue. So we have that off the bat. I'm trying to remember something. I had something I wanted to mention, but I think I'll get to it in a second. It is in North America, so we have North American coaster thus far. And I guess you can also ask if you have yes or no questions, you can ask it at, like, just right off on the go here. But if you have anything that comes up, so yeah. All right. So we have North American coaster. It is not steel, so that's also a big hint. North American, I guess, wooden coaster in that case. It is not on the West Coast, but it is at a chain park, and it is operating. So we have North American wooden coaster that is at a chain park and operating. It's not a GCI. It is at a chain park. It is not in the US. Also pretty big hint. So wooden coaster in North America at a chain park, not in the US. It is not a Gravity Group. It's not at a Six Flags park, but it is at a Cedar Fair park, and it is in Canada. So definitely narrowing down your sort of options there by doing that. It is not the biggest coaster at the park it's in. Far from it, actually. It is not Monster. Civilian Satellite got it first. It is Wildebeest at Canada's Wonderland. That is the correct answer. So there you go. We'll be doing just, I think, like a few more rounds here between the two of us. So Josiah, if you have a coaster that you're thinking of, or like if you have something, you'll be kind of going next, and the chat will try to guess the one you're thinking of, if that makes sense. So you got it?
Yeah, let's try one. I'm going to pick a fairly easy one, I think. Go for it, guys. See what they got.
Alrighty. There's always a little bit of delay with the chat, so...
Yeah, that's all good.
Yep, ask away the questions.
Steel. Yes, it is steel. Have I ridden it? Yes, I have ridden it. Very much. North America? Yes, it is in North America. Hermione. Yes, USA. It is the USA for sure.
So US Steel Coaster.
Does it have a 48-inch height requirement? Yes, it does. West Coast? Yep. West Coast getting closer. Chain Park? Absolutely. No, not Cedar Fair. Operating, yes. Thank goodness, but yes, it is operating. California? Yep. Getting it fast. Six Flags? Mm-hmm. Yes, it is a Six Flags park.
Someone was asking if it had inversions.
Oh, I didn't see that one. Yes. Yes. That might give it away. Depends who you ask. Not Wonder Woman, no.
Dang, beat me to it. But not quite, I guess.
Nope, not Wonder Woman. Yes, Magic Mountain. Definitely not in India. Not Revolution. You guys are getting close. Same park. Very close to Viper, not Viper.
All right, I know
what
it is.
You got it. X2.
Yeah, but don't. Oh, you weren't supposed to say it before, but oh well. Someone probably already got it with the delay.
They did for sure. It's
yeah,
right next to
Civilian
Viper.
Satellite got it.
Nice work. Yeah, X2 is cliche for me, but that's still, I think, all things considered, my number one coaster. Riddler's Revenge would have been cool. It's an underrated ride in my opinion. Riddler's fun.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think a lot of people know that X2 has a 48-inch height requirement. It's kind of like one of the more obscure things. So,
right? Totally.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. All right, so we'll do 2 more rounds between each of us. And I'm getting my next coaster here. Let's see. Ooh, that's a good one. All right, guess away in the chat. Let's see. Keep forgetting that it's a fort. Yeah, I mean, like, it's pretty crazy that it is. Totally crazy. It is a steel coaster, but it is not in North America. So we are going international for this one. No, it's not themed to a pig that also happens to be a father. Would be pretty great if it was. It is not in Europe. So we have Steel Coaster, I guess is all we have right now. And a lot of people were asking Europe right then and there. It is in Asia, so we have Asian Steel Coaster. And it is in Japan, so Yes. Japan Steel Coaster. It is operating. So operating Steel Coaster in Japan. Not in China. Not at a chain park. I had to confirm that, but it is not at a chain park. It does invert, so Japanese steel coaster with inversions. It is not Bandit, it's not Takabisha, it's not Tornado at Tokyo Summerland. That'd be pretty sad if it was, but I guess a tribute. At the Volcano Park, like, I'm confused. Like, Tokyo Disney Sea. I mean, that one has volcano in it, but that can't be the one. It's not at Fuji Q, and it's not at Disney Sea, anyways. It's not a sit down. It's not at Jamaica. It's not Dododompa. Let me run through it again. Japanese steel coaster with inversions. That is not a sit down. It does not have a launch. It is not Flying Dinosaur. Civilian Satellite, again, got it right. It is Pyrenees. Yeah, man. Definitely doing really good this time around. Pyrenees is the correct answer. Really good looking B&M invert, actually. Alrighty, so Josiah, you're next.
All right. Go ahead, guys. Inverted. No, not inverted. North America? Nope. This time we are leaving the States. Is it blue? No, it is not blue. Definitely not blue. That's a popular question. Is it blue? It's funny.
Yeah, not a usual one, too.
Europe. Nope, not Europe. Not Europe. This one's going to be a little more obscure. Yes, Hermione, Asia. It would be an Asian country. Mr. Kohler Roaster. Yes, China. China is, I think I know Mr. Kohler Roaster from a previous video. Yeah, China. Yep, double China. It is in China indeed.
Which definitely does not make things easier.
No. You guys have a lot of options there. I have not been stung by a bee on a ride before. I don't think that'd be very pleasant, though.
It's a reoccurring question. It's actually it happened to Sean Flaherty. He was on here once and he explained it. So
yes, it would be over that amount of feet. Actually, very much higher than that. Almost double, maybe triple. Is it made by a Western manufacturer? No, it is not. It is not made by a Western manufacturer. That'd be interesting, though.
Someone asked European manufacturer.
This is my bad. No. Maybe? I'm not. Maybe? No, not Golden Horse. Golden Horse is Jinma Rides now, isn't it? Yeah. Golden Horse went to Jinma.
I'm not sure if Jinma apparently actually translates to Golden Horse. So I don't know if they've always been named that and that we've just called them that. Because that's the meaning of the word, I still call them Golden Horse just because it means it. So
yeah. Let's see. Soket? No. I do love that manufacturer though, and not Meisho, even though Meisho is another very interesting one. Now you guys are getting into my field of things. Actually, I'll give him a hint. It is a fairly common manufacturer. Battle of Jungle King, no, but that's one of the most intriguing rides in the world, in my opinion. Operating, yes, definitely operating as of 2016. That should give you some more narrowing down if one of you wants to rip open the database and start plugging things in.
Oh boy, I try to recommend against that, but people will still do it. So I guess It is what it is.
People always will. I've done it on other streams before.
Oh yeah, no, totally. Um,
Oh, Mr. Cola Roaster, good job. Yes, that it would be Soaring with Dragon. Good job. That is really fantastic looking ride, and it's ginormous. Wow.
Intamin is a European manufacturer, I guess, just for future reference. But
Yeah. I was gonna say Intamin. I want to say they're
they're in like a weird country because it's like they're not in Switzerland.
Yeah,
They're in
that's
like
why I'm not sure
Liechtenstein or
how to
something.
answer it. So that's why I was kind of like, yeah, maybe, sorta. I don't know.
I get
Hold
that.
up. Yeah, cool guys. Nice work, Soaring with Dragon. Yeah. If
Already,
anyone's ridden
so
that, I'd love to hear about it. I don't know a single person who's ridden Soaring with Dragon yet.
huh. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't know of anyone either. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. Um, we'll do one more round between the two of us, so one for me, one for you, and yeah, that should wrap up this segment. So yeah, I already have my coaster, so guess away in the chat. Oh, Civilian Satellite knows someone that has it in their top 10. Dang,
Dang.
that's high praise. All right.
Yeah, I wanna ride it so bad. That'd be crazy.
Feels like it's getting a little more forgotten now with the other, like a bunch of other Intamin multi-launch coasters, but I mean,
Yeah.
it still looks really good. It is not a steel coaster, and it is in North America. So we have wooden coaster in North America that, yes, it has a lift hill. So there you go. Wooden coaster in North America. I think this one might be fairly quick, actually. We'll see. It is a CCI. So CCI wooden coaster in North America, and it is at a chain park. It's not blue. I mean, I guess it could have been Kingdom Coaster, right? I guess, but not in the no, sorry, it is in the U.S. It is so U.S. CCI wooden coaster. It's not a Go Gator. It's not Legend. Mr. Cola Roaster got it. Boss is the correct answer. That's a really good guess, but it is the Boss at St. Louis. All right, so
I just gotta say, Boss is one of my favorite wooden coasters of all time. I absolutely adore that ride. I think it's amazing. I think it's very underappreciated for sure. So definitely an exciting ride.
yeah, it is piqued my interest more because I really liked Beast more than I was expecting. I know it's a very different ride, but it's got like the same sort of setting, like forest setting, and it's a mixed reception as well. So I'm very intrigued to check it out when I get the chance.
Definitely.
But yeah, so you have the last one. So I guess think of a coaster and they'll guess away.
Let's think. All right, I got one. Go for it, guys. See if they can figure this one out. I'm gonna make it a little trickier.
Alrighty.
I won't do anything too obscure though. Don't worry. You guys can still get it. No, not India. Definitely not. Are there? I don't even.
There
Europe,
are some
yeah.
notable coasters there.
Yes, Europe. Not inverted. No. Not a family boomerang. Over 100 feet. Yes, it is. At least the drop is.
Did he answer if it was operating?
No, it is actually not operating.
Okay.
No, not Jimmy Ride. No, Civilian Satellite. No, Vekoma. Not Germany. Not Steel. Not Intamin. Not Defunct yet. Yes, on Wooden. Yes, it is SPNO.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, sit down. Yes. Not England. No. Italy. No. Again, Mr. Color Roaster, Magnus Colossus. There it is.
I knew with like all the clues. I'm like, I know.
There
I
they are,
just forgot the
Trolley.
name of it. I'm like, it's the one at Terra Mythica, I think, right? But
Yeah, History and Leisure, Civilian Satellite, and Mr. Color. Yep, all three down the line. Yeah, nice work, guys. That's another ride I think just looks cool, even though it rides bad. So I've heard.
yeah,
Yeah. Cool. Nice work, guys.
already. So that's gonna be that for this segment. And then next, we're going to go into a bit of a newer segment for those of you who haven't been watching or who are, I guess, new to this and also who haven't been watching the last few. It's a segment called Buy or Sell. This is very much inspired by the Airtime Thrills sort of video series. And he's a former two-time guest of the stream, so reached out to him, asked if I could do it because I thought it'd be a good viewer interactive segment, and he was all for it. So how this works is you will give us your predictions or your takes on things, probably mostly in the amusement industry, but I guess if you want to go a little outside of it, sure. And I guess we'll be accepting like comments for like the next 10 minutes. So at 1:17 or 4:17 Eastern, I'll make a cutoff. But yeah, that's going to be the plan. So any takes or predictions you have, you can put them in the chat, and we'll say if we think it's gonna happen or not. Already got one already right off the bat. RMC Wildcat will be the beginning of the end for conversions. I'll allow you to go first for this one.
Arms Blackout would be the beginning of the end for conversions. Interesting. No, I'm gonna disagree with that one. I don't think it will be the beginning of the end personally.
Yeah.
I know of him. I think I've seen a couple of his videos. Yeah.
Yeah, also another former guest. So, but as for RMC Wildcat, I get the idea, right? Like, there's not that many candidates anymore, it seems like. And especially now with Titan Track, like now Predator and Wolverine Wildcat are off the table. I get the idea and thinking, but I don't think it will be the beginning of the end because I think as certain coasters that we aren't thinking of as candidates right now get older, they'll like become candidates basically. Like some of the earlier GCI coasters, if parks are like, we don't want to they decide they want to go the RMC route instead of maintaining it. Maybe something like that happens. Like, I don't know, maybe something like that would happen to Thunderhead way down the line or something. Just an example, but I don't think it'll be the beginning of the end. But yeah. Gold Striker will get relocated to Dorney Park. You can go first for this.
Oh boy. You know what? That'd be really cool. Again, I don't think that's going to happen, but if it did, that'd be super exciting. And I guess not entirely impossible, but yeah, I'm going to say probably not.
I'm going to sell that. I like the idea, but it's just, if it were to get relocated anywhere, I do really like the idea of Carowinds being the spot. I think that'd be pretty sweet. If they had the space for it, which they probably do somewhere. But I don't think there's any shot it gets relocated to Dorney Park, but I would like it if it did. That'd be pretty cool, for sure. Alright, I guess this one's a joke one. Yeah, I clicked it without realizing, but I guess I'll just say sell.
I will say so as well.
Alrighty. The Parque Warner Madrid Intamin will spark Parque de Atracciones in the same city to step up its game. Yeah, I buy that. I think they'll get something somewhat significant because of that, so I say yeah.
I'll buy it as well. I've been to Atracciones Madrid and rode Abismo, and I think that park definitely could use something new. I did like the lineup they have, but I hope that will spark some competition there.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah.
That and is TB Dabo not too far from there? That's the one on like the hill or whatever. I know
Yeah.
they're getting a new drop tower in the next few years, so I don't know if that's the same region of Spain or not, though. But if it is, I think it'll definitely help to spark the other park to step up for sure.
Let's hope so.
Cedar Point will not get a new coaster over 200 feet in the next 10 years. Boy. You want to take this one first?
Yeah, I'll try. Let's see. I think they will. I'm gonna sell that. I think they will. Definitely. And it'd be interesting to see if it would be our little RMC T-Rex friend, even though probably not. But I think they will. Cedar Point loves to break records, and they do have a pretty packed lineup at this point, but they're going to need to add something at some point. Maybe 200 feet, over 200 feet is not going to be the main staple, but it'll be something for sure, in my opinion.
I'm going to say buy, assuming Dragster goes, which at this point I'm really feeling like that is what's going to happen, even though I really wouldn't like to see it, but obviously far from confirmed. But I'm going to say sell if that happens, because I feel like they'd at least have to try to do something. I don't exactly know what that would be. I know some people have had different ideas as to what they could replace it with.
Yeah.
But you can't really replace a coaster like that, just truly, but I guess they can try. So if that closes, I think they'll build one. If not, then I could see a world where that happens. So I could see it in that sense. Let's see. Busch Gardens Tampa's next coaster will be a hyper.
Busch Gardens Tampa's next coaster will be a I don't think so personally. They just got Gwazi, Iron Gwazi, so I don't personally think so. But that'd be freaking awesome. I think that'd be super cool. I would definitely shock me. Good question though. That's intriguing to think about. I've never really considered that as potentially being possibility.
For Busch Gardens Tampa, if they go with a hyper style coaster, at that point just get a Giga coaster. I feel like it's something that people have wanted for a while. Obviously, it's really expensive if you do that, but that's just sort of my thinking there. If they were gonna go something like with something that crazy, it would probably be a Giga. So I will sell it for that reason, but would be cool to see for sure. B&M will never make another Giga. I'm gonna sell that pretty quickly, actually.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, I guess I understand, like, if you look at it from US parks, you might be like, is there really another one that could do it? I think Busch Gardens Tampa is still a candidate to do it. But outside of that, I don't really see too many options. Maybe if Knott's can finally figure something out, but it seems like that's less and less of a reality sort of a thing to happen. So, but perhaps something overseas could potentially happen, but I don't know enough about that to say anything, but I'm gonna say sell.
Yeah, I'll sell that as well.
Let's see. I accidentally clicked that. And National Coasters will reach 1 billion subscribers before Michigan's Adventure gets a new coaster.
Bye. Absolutely bye.
That's so mean. I mean, if you could reach 1 billion subscribers, then, I mean, I'd be rooting for it before Michigan's Adventure.
You know, if I reach 1 billion subscribers, I will buy all of us our personal theme parks.
Yeah, that would be pretty
gnarly.
crazy. Yeah, but I think things are potentially looking up for Michigan's Adventure. They did get into the Titan track on Wolverine Wildcat, and the idea is potentially they'll get some more in the next few years. We'll see if that comes true, but I think things are looking up there for whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
India will get a world-class coaster collection and be one of the best countries in the world. I'm going to sell that. Unfortunately, they have a large population, and I think it would be awesome if they were to get some world-class parks. So that would be cool to see. There hasn't been really any reason to suggest that would be something coming soon. So I would have to sell it for that reason.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think India would be awesome to get some really world class places, but I'm also going to be in agreement with Carrick on that one.
Yeah. Let's see what else there is. Okay, we're getting close to the cutoff. Actually, we just hit it, so I'm a do that. But we'll answer the last few questions here that were put in. Let's see. Knots could get an RMC Raptor. No, that would be a disaster if they did. I mean, I guess they could get a large scale one, but actually, no, that wouldn't even make sense. So no, I'm absolutely selling.
Yeah, yep. That would. Oh, I don't even want to think about trying to operate a Raptor in that park. Yikes! Yikes! Definitely not. Hopefully not.
I mean, I could see something where it's like they want to relocate Trailblazer, and it's like, well, Knots doesn't have a ton of space. We'll just find a plot for it and throw it in there, but that would be really bad. I don't think that would be a good idea, so I'm a sell.
I'm in agreement.
I see another joke one. I'm gonna sell the golden horse question. They do seem to be doing some things that are interesting or more interesting. I will give them that. It does seem like they're improving and trying to do some new interesting things for at least the company, but I don't think it'll be one of the best manufacturers.
Yeah, I'm more or less in agreement with that. I think Gemma is making some interesting things and some unique changes of their own, but one of the best? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that'd be quite the surprise. Crazy Bats will be the next. Oh wait, sorry, you were saying something?
No, I was gonna say if they ended up being one of the best, that'd be good for them. I'd be happy. I think they have an interesting history at least, and they've made some good content for me.
That's for sure. But I mean, hey, we've seen some manufacturer turnarounds. That one definitely would be a bit of a crazier level though.
Totally.
Of a turnaround. Crazy Bats will be the next right at Fantasia to get the axe for a new area. This has been something that a lot of people have thrown out there. I do know that they have like this studio ride thing, and I know that like is believed to have closed for good. So in terms of being the next ride to go, I'm gonna sell that, but I think it could happen in the near future. So I could see that Crazy Bat's getting the axe. So I will buy that at least.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I'll buy Crazy Bats being the next up in line. When, who knows, but I will buy that as well. Good question there.
Alrighty, and Energylandia is not gonna get 5 wacky worms.
Oh man. You know, that's funny. I had a dream the other night that there was a park that bought like 56 wacky worms and like took the world record, and like all the enthusiasts mobbed it. It was really funny. That'd be interesting.
I mean, hey, theoretically, if someone wanted to, they just had a bunch of land, they could just be like, all right, let's do it.
They
break
could.
the record, and that would be that for probably relatively cheap, all things considered. So, I mean, yeah, that'd be pretty funny. I'll answer this one just because it's a good question. Six Flags will sell a park within the next 5 years. This will be the last question I answer here, or we answer here. Where are you on this one?
I'm gonna buy this one. I think they will. Do I have a guess on what park? Not really, but I knowing Six Flags think they would definitely look at selling one of their parks for various reasons within maybe not 5 years. I'd give it 10 maybe, but I think at some point we'll definitely see a park get sold.
I definitely buy this, we know they are moving towards a premiumization model. They mentioned that earlier this year, and that's why you're seeing the one of the reasons you're seeing the price changes in their season passes and dining plans and all that. And I could see a world where they're like, we don't need to have all these parts if it makes if so I could see them like maybe getting rid of a smaller one or maybe even a larger one if it's not doing super well behind the scenes. So I could see that for sure. I'll buy that. Alrighty. That's gonna wrap it up for this segment. And the next thing we're going to do is the tier list. So this is something that basically it's 20 random coasters that either one of us or both of us have ridden, and that's going to be the tier list there. So I just need to kind of put it in a better thing, and we'll get started pretty quick here on it. So, like I said, 20 coasters that one of us or both of us have ridden. The first one we have here for the tier list, which you have done, is Loch Ness Monster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. In this tier, where would you rank it?
Yeah, and again, guys, I'm a very biased enthusiast. I look at things not from a pure ride experience perspective, but also history and all things considered. So just keep that in mind before you guys blame me for some stuff. But I think I'll put Loch Ness Monster in the C category. Super, I think for its time, it would have been definitely more of a B or an A. But in today's world, I think it gets a C. But the historical significance is cool. The interlocking loops are an element I wish someone would bring back. But yeah, I'll give it a C overall. I thought it was fun. And I actually got some pretty gnarly airtime in the very back row if you ride it in the right way. So fun ride for sure. Not bad.
Cool to hear. And also, for those of you who are new in the chat, you can also give your where you think it could rank, and that could potentially kind of sway where it gets put. I have not ridden this, so I'm not going to comment on it other than it looks pretty cool, and I can't wait to check it out at some point. So, yeah. The next coaster we have is Dragon's Run at Dragon Park. I forget what the exact name of the park is, but
Dragon Park works, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a B, all things considered. Reason I say this, it's not a B ride in and of itself, but obviously this was Led Zeppelin that was relocated. And just the way I have a whole video on how I found this thing, but I very randomly stumbled upon this thing in Vietnam on a non-coaster related trip, and I just happened to be there. So the whole experience was just super funny. And I will say that is a very forceful ride, and also the only B&M sit down I've ridden. Yeah, just super unique ride. I thought it was fun. The layout's interesting, very forceful, and its location is super cool. It's very close to Halong Bay. So yeah, all things considered, I'll give that a B. That was awesome.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool that you've done that. I don't think I've had anyone else on here who's written it, so it's definitely a very unique credit in that way. And yeah, it looks really cool, and with all the history behind it, definitely a very cool coaster just in general. So
Definitely.
cool to have someone on who's written it. The next one we have is another one that you've just written, Abismo at Parque de Atracciones.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I've never been sure how to pronounce it either.
Yeah.
Abismo. I'm gonna give this one a D. It's for what it is, it's cool. I will say it probably has the most absurd hang time of any coaster I've ever ridden coming up that vertical lift. Beyond that, though, the coaster is pretty much a one-trick pony, and it is the extended version of the Sky Loop, so it does have a few extra added elements, but it is fairly rough, and it has some pretty odd and just not very efficient restraints, in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a D, but overall, the ride's not bad. Just nothing worth going an extra hour out of your way to go and do. Tornado at the same park is definitely a more worthy contender of a ride that'd be worth riding, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's interesting. This coaster I've heard mixed things for, just from different people. So, um, and it is from Maurer, which is a coaster manufacturer that seems to have mixed opinions among the community. So,
Yeah.
always interesting to kind of hear about it. And I mean, yeah, it's pretty short, so not too surprising, but still, I mean, it's unique at least. So you have
Yeah.
that. Next, we have Gatekeeper, which is the first of the coasters on here I've ridden. Um, I would put this in B tier. That's where I'm at. How about you?
I was about to say B as well. Not the best coaster in my opinion, but has some fun elements, and those keyholes are interesting to experience. Yeah, I'll give it a B overall.
Alrighty. The next one we have is actually also another coaster at Cedar Point, Rougarou, which this is one that I'm higher on than most, I would say. I would put it in B tier still, but that's where I'm at with it.
Interesting. I'd personally put it in the D tier. I frankly forgot it existed. um, I was not particularly impressed. Not to mention too, and my experience on it, they took a train off the transfer track and then put it back on for like I have no idea why they did that, but it just was really inefficient and I was confused. So that's not my favorite. I'd personally give it a D. I would not care to rewrite it. I probably won't ever rewrite it, but yeah, it's there, I guess.
I was pleasantly surprised by it when I wrote it in 2019. I had heard it was pretty bad, and it was like, and I wrote it, and I was like, oh, it's actually pretty good. I like the Twister section because it's pretty unique.
Yeah.
And it rode relatively smooth for me, which I know is kind of a weird experience for a lot of people, but I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Definitely.
We're gonna settle it and see because that kind of combines both of ours. So
Works for me.
yeah. The next one is a coaster that you've ridden. This is Giant Dipper, specifically at Belmont Park. Your thoughts on this one?
Have you not ridden Giant Dipper?
I've done the Santa Cruz one. I have not done this one.
Okay, gotcha. You know what? I'll give this. I'll be nice. I'll give this one a C. Let's give it a C. Giant Dipper again. It's super old, very historical. Nothing particularly amazing about the ride, but just the fact that it's still standing is super cool. And I am a huge fan of the carnival-esque kind of nostalgia feel to some of these beachside parks and boardwalks. So I think its placement's cool, and it's obviously been in a ton of movies and things. So I'll give it a C. It's a fun little ride, and I'm glad it's still here.
Yeah, it's one that I've been to San Diego many times, and I'm like, man, I got to get to this, and I just haven't been able to. The next time I go, I will absolutely make sure to check it out. I've heard also mixed things about it, but it's good to hear more of a positive sort of review of it, so that's always good to hear. The next coaster we have is Green Lantern First Flight, which I did ride. F.
Uh.
Have you ridden this?
I did ride Green Lantern, and this is one of the opinions I have in the community that gets me flamed all the time. I would put it as high as a C, actually.
All right.
I was very small when I wrote it. I would say I was just coming into the community. Um, I didn't have the super crummy experience everybody did on it, and I wrote it on multiple occasions. I really never had an issue with the ride. I thought it had some fun airtime. Obviously, I always saw people complaining about it. I was also very small, so I think that had something to do with it. I just probably fit the restraints better than most because I wasn't getting some of that extra whip and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it really wasn't the worst ride I've ridden. I still wouldn't obviously have it be top tier, and I'd much rather have Wonder Woman now. But yeah, hey, I mean, it was there.
Yeah, I mean, hey, at least there's someone out there who um, enjoyed it. I only wrote it once, and that was enough for me. It wasn't like like absolutely horrifically uncomfortable. It didn't really do much in my cycle. I just kind of came off, and I remember I was just kind of like I was just kind of really confused by the experience more than anything. And just kind of like, all right, I don't think I need to write that again. And
Fair
that was
enough.
about it.
I don't think anyone
Um,
will argue with you. I agree.
But I will say I did not have like the Chris from Airtime Thrills or a lot of other people their experience with it where they got like thrown into the restraint and their shoulders died. So
Yeah, I didn't
um,
either.
yeah, I didn't have that type of experience. It's still not great. Speaking of interesting coasters, the next one we have is Hurricane at Fun Spot Kissimmee.
F.
Um, oh wow.
No explanation needed. F. Oh, that ride was brutal. Brutal, brutal. No way. Never again. One and done.
Man, I mean, I kind of interested to ride it because I like the E&F Miler Kitty coasters. I don't do them much anymore, but when I was younger, I enjoyed them. So,
I normally don't have an issue. This one is just so like it's so rough. It's so in the middle of nowhere. It's so janky. Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not ripping on Fun Spot. Fun Spot's amazing. They have a great staff. I love their rides. I've been to Fun Spot countless times. They're great. But from a pure coaster perspective, that thing is not anywhere near something I would ever consider rewriting. You pretty much have to pay me to go back on that.
yeah, for sure. I see the ambassadors in the chat.
Yep.
Hello.
What's going on, Mr. Ambassador? Welcome.
It was nice to meet you at Magic Mountain on the previews, so that was cool. And yeah, I don't even think I mentioned that, but yeah, I met the ambassador at Wonder Woman preview, so that was pretty cool.
Nice. I found Starjet to be an F, but I found Hurricane to be hilariously awful. Yeah, I would completely agree with that statement. Hilariously awful is the right word.
Wow.
Oh, God. What a bad ride.
The next coaster we have is yet another one that's not really well liked. It is Firebird at Six Flags America.
Have you ridden it?
I have not.
Okay. I have very recently with Quality Coasters and his friend who came from Belgium. You know what? I really didn't think it was that bad. For a B&M, sure, it was pretty bad. But as a coaster in general, I'll give it a let's give it a D. It's bearable. I'd rewrite it if there was no line. It definitely is the roughest B&M I've ever ridden. The layout's kind of weird. There's that one support. I'm not sure if you've heard about that one support. That's just kind of funny looking that they messed up and had to cut and re-put together. It's just funny to look at. But yeah, D ride. Nothing amazing, but I don't hate it.
That's fair. Smoothest B&M in Maryland.
Absolutely right, airtime Mike.
Amazing. And the chat seems to have a little bit of a lower opinion, but still gonna stick it in there. Man, we're going. It's funny. This way this tier list ended up, it's like it went into a row of coasters I hadn't ridden, and then there's like a bunch afterwards. So it's kind of weird. Nice. I have not done I-305, but where do you rank this?
S. Like,
all right.
No questions asked. I was so happy to like it because I rode Skyrush, and I would put Skyrush below Hurricane. That's how much I hate that ride.
Oh, wow.
I think Skyrush is probably top 3 worst coasters I've ever ridden, and a lot of people hate me for that. But that's why I was afraid I was going to have a similar experience on I-305, but it was completely the opposite. I will say that S ranking only comes as a front row ride on Intimidator 305 for me. Any other row, I'd probably put it in a low A, high B category. I thought the ride was phenomenal. In my vlog that's not out yet but will be soon, later in the next couple weeks, I do mention it was close to being and is my new number 1 under certain conditions. So I-305 definitely is a top tier ride for me, and I think a lot of people would agree with the I-305 placement there.
Yeah, it's one of my top bucket list coasters for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy experience. I know that for sure. And front row definitely would seem like the place to be, at least for a sensation of speed. But
yeah, it was brutal in the best of way. Awesome.
Yeah, but man, it looks so good. The next coaster we have is Hang Time. This is one I've ridden. I would also put this in B tier. Where are you at with this one?
I would put it in C personally. I haven't ridden Hang Time since 2019, 2019 maybe, or no,
Same.
it's been a while, but it's kind of yeah, I'll ride it with friends. It's fun to ride with friends, and I think the light package is cool. But beyond that, it's nothing I think that's particularly notable.
I'll actually stick it in C. I think that's fair. I'm a lot lower on it than it seems like most people are, at least that I've heard from. So
Yeah,
I'll agree to that. The next coaster we have is Banshee. Oh boy. Have you ridden this one?
I have.
Okay. Um,
Have you?
I yes, I have. I'm curious what yours is.
You first.
So I would actually put this, and this surprised me. I would put it. It would be a low A, but I would put it in A tier. It's one of my favorite inverts. My second favorite behind Raptor, but I mean we'll lower rank higher it however you want. But really interesting layout. It was a lot more intense than I expected, even if it didn't have like the whip of the other inverts. And that final roll toward the end was like really good. I'm amazed it took that long for B&M to put one of those on an invert, but it was awesome. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with you. It'd be a low A, high B for me, but I'm fine leaving it with the A ranking there. That's a pretty solid ride for sure, and that whole park in general is just awesome.
Yeah, I got to go a few weeks ago for the first time, and it was awesome. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
The next one we have is just Premier Skyrocket 2s in general. I know some are better than others. I've only done Superman Ultimate Flight, but I would actually put this in B tier. I actually like these rides quite a bit. But where are you at on this one?
If I just ridden one, I might agree with you and put it in like a high C area. I think I've ridden like 5 of these now, and I'll probably give them a D, maybe even an F. I think they're okay. I'll get them for the cred, but I won't reride them. I think Electric Eel's the worst out of the ones I've ridden. That ride's pretty bad, but I did just ride Tempesto, which was pretty good. So yeah, I'll give it like a high D, low C.
Yeah, if you're gonna put it in D and I would have it in B, then C just makes the most sense. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's fair. And Airtime Mike came in at a pretty good time because the next thing we have is SNS 40 free spins. Oh boy, I am actually this coast. I did this for the first time a few months ago, Batman: The Ride at Discovery Kingdom, and I was actually pretty impressed. It would have to be a high C or a low B for me. I'm actually like pretty. I was pretty happy with it. So
That's my exact thoughts as well. I would have said high C, low B too. So yeah, I'm in agreement. They're pretty fun.
I'm gonna put it in B tier. Just we have so many C tier coasters right now so we're
Yeah.
just gonna put it in there. Sorry about
Good.
that.
Sounds good.
Sorry, Airtime Mike. But there we go.
Uh,
The next coaster we have is Thunderbolt at Six Flags New England. I believe only you've done this. Your thoughts on this?
Nah, D. It really is, there's nothing bad about it. It's just for today's standards really does nothing. It's just kind of there. You do get some. I mean, I think it has buzz bars still. You do get some decent airtime on it, but definitely nothing amazing. Yeah, G tier ride.
All right, fair enough. Haven't heard the greatest things about this one, but I didn't even know it had buzz bars, or maybe it does. But yeah, that's cool at least.
Yeah, it might not. I get mixed up, but maybe if it does, I'm trying. I can't even hardly remember that ride experience.
All right, so yeah, D tier would be fair there. Next, we have Skull Mountain
F.
at Six Flags Great Adventure.
F. Is there
Oh,
something below
really?
F? Dumbest ride of all time. Most disappointing, underwhelming. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to talk about this ride. It makes me so mad. Yeah, just F.
Wow, I had no idea it was that bad for you. um, because I sometimes I'll intentionally put a coaster in if I know someone really doesn't like it, but I didn't have any clue.
No,
So
that is probably down there with Sky Rush. That was the most underwhelming, just because it for Six Flags standards, it looks cool from the outside, and you get in and ride it, and it is a dumpster fire. That thing is so bad on so many levels. I personally would scrap it myself. That is, ugh. It has a new lighting program now. I sure hope so. Anything to do to make that thing mildly more entertaining. I would have enjoyed a wacky worm more if you just put a wacky worm in the middle of an open lot and told me to ride it. Disappointing.
dang, wow, that's
Sorry, strong opinions on that one. I was so mad because we waited 45 minutes for that thing because everybody thought it would be
oh.
so cool based on the outside, and you got in and it was this super disappointing, like just absolute nothing going on ride. It was just so lame. I enjoyed Harley Quinn 10 times more.
I mean, yeah, I've heard different things on it. I not no, nothing to the level of like bad that you're explaining, but hey, that's why we do this. It's always interesting to see how these tier lists and uh, where people are at on certain coasters. So that's why we do this. The
Yeah,
next one we have is New Revolution at Magic Mountain. We've both done it.
yeah,
This one is like about the definition of like, although now we have some coasters that I might disagree with in C, but I would put it in C tier. It's just like very, just kind of, it's solid. It's got some good terrain usage. It's fun for what it is, but it's nothing that crazy. So,
yeah. I'm in agreement. High C or high D, low C for me.
all right. Yeah, I think that's fair. Next, we have Voyage. Have you written it or only me?
I have not. I'm going to be writing it in a couple weeks here, but no, I have not ridden the Voyage yet, so I don't have an opinion. But I've heard it's awesome.
Yeah, not too surprising, but this is S tier for me. Um, it is, in my opinion, well, for me, it's my number one coaster. So
Wow.
that's kind of, um, that's about as good as it gets. And I was legitimately surprised the strength of the airtime was a lot stronger than I thought it was going to be because I had heard it was pretty weak going in, but it definitely was not in my experience. And though the Twisted Hills especially were really good. Though that was like kind of the main surprise. And it's also just such a crazy long ride. Like I had never ridden a wooden coaster like it, and it definitely has kind of it's like changed me forever. I feel like after riding it, it was
Uh-huh.
that good. So
Oh man.
I don't want to give you too high of expectations going into it, but man, I was legitimately impressed by it, and I already had pretty high expectations. So
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to get on it for sure. I've heard great. I've not heard a single bad thing about the Voyage. I am very excited.
yeah, and I definitely have more reason to try to do Hollywood Nights now. So
Yeah.
that also kind of is a big thing that came out of it. The next coaster we have is one that I believe, yeah, you've only ridden this one. It is Timber Terror at Silverwood.
Oh yeah. I forgot about this ride. Um, I'll probably put it in a C category. I know we're kind of flooding the C's, but again, it's a coaster that I thought was pretty fun, but nothing amazing. Just the fact that it's in Silverwood's cool though. Silverwood's a great park overall. Um, Nothing that notable in my opinion. I know it has its hardcore fans, not me personally, but decent little wooden coaster, worth riding for sure. I think the best coaster in that park that I've ridden. I haven't been back for Stunt Pilot yet, but Aftershock was. I love the Vekoma giant inverted boomerangs. That thing is especially is very well kept and very intense. So yeah, C tier ride for me.
Nice. Aftershock is as your top one. That's definitely a cool. Most people are like Tremors or something, but Aftershock, I've heard it's in great shape, so it's really
It
cool to
is.
hear.
Yeah, it rides. It rides like I've heard it was in its inaugural season. Yeah.
That's really cool. The last coaster we have is West Coast Racers at Magic Mountain, um, which we've both done, I suppose.
Yeah.
For me, this is like This one's in B tier. Yeah, I think that's where I'm at with it.
I put it in B as well. I'd be in agreement with that.
Alrighty, so that appears to be our tier list. I guess let us know what you guys think in the chat. Obviously, the free spins being at that high, and like I know some people, it's sort of a meme coaster, I guess, but Skull Mountain has a cult following, so um, that those are definitely going to be pretty interesting.
So bad, so bad, so bad. Six Flags. If anyone in Six Flags watches this, be calm with it, please, please. Ugh.
I'm curious how big the building is. I have never been there, but
Big. That's the thing. It's big. It looks so good, and you get inside and you're like, what was that? I don't know, man. Hey, whatever. It's get the cred, guys.
yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'll still try to check it out if I'm over there, but we'll see. I did already ride a indoor coaster recently that disappointed me in Flight of Fear at Kings Island. Yikes.
Interesting.
I did not like it, which surprised me, but there we have it for the tier list. So
There it is. Cool.
that's that, and then we're gonna do our last segment before the final Q&A, which is going to be topics to discuss. I have kind of 3 questions / topics for Josiah here, so we're gonna be going right through them. And my first one relates to the content on your channel, because you've basically grown and mostly been focused on making videos that talk about the lesser known, more obscure coasters in the world. So my question is a few things here. What sort of led you to decide to focus on those type of videos, and what's sort of the process and work that kind of goes into making those videos?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of things that played into it. I've told this story many times, but growing up with the past to Disney, we went to California's Adventure a lot, California Adventure. So I grew up on Incredicoaster or California Screamin' back then, and that was a fun ride. I would give Viper and X2 credit for my addition to the community, but the obscure coasters sort of came after my initial interest, and I was super intrigued by Moonsault Scramble. And for those of you that don't know what that was a giant Meisho shuttle coaster that was considered widely by many still to this day to be one of the most intense coasters ever, and it pulled some of the highest G-forces recorded. Obviously defunct now, but that was something that intrigued me a lot. And I started noticing there were rides like Son of Beast and other things that, though they're not as obscure, were still super cool to me. And so that made me wonder, there's all these weird defunct coasters I haven't heard of. Like, I wonder if I can find some ones that are just like so weird and out there that are just bizarre. And that's when I got in touch with Peter, who a lot of you know, Theme Park Crazy. He makes a lot of obscure, cool coaster videos as well. And I started watching those as a kid, and then I thought I want to find some more interesting ones. So that's that. As far as finding them goes, a lot of people always ask me, and I think you're curious too, how I find the actual content or like how to cover them. A lot of them at first came from just countless hours on the roller coaster database. Dwayne Martin, who I have not personally met, does it. I know some people who do know him. I'm very thankful for the roller coaster database and everybody that's contributed to it. It's the reason for my existence. As far as being in the coaster community. But a lot of you know on Instagram, I do these daily posts, or I used to before I hopped on Reels, where I'd pick a picture of a coaster and post it. And that often came from just refreshing the database till I found a coaster I liked. And after you refresh the database enough times, you start highlighting some pretty interesting coasters. And so that's when I discovered how many obscure, weird things were out there. And that was my inspiration to cover those. Yeah. And then again, just to further your question, a lot of the hardest part about making these videos has been finding the histories behind them. The whole point is they're unknown, right? And so it takes a lot of research to figure out where these things come from. And a lot of the times I say it in my videos, it is speculation. But I'll always reach out and comment on videos for people who have uploaded of their own, being like, hey, obviously you rode this. I know you're not an enthusiast, but I'm a roller coaster enthusiast. I want to know more about this ride. And a lot of times people are super cool. So that's kind of how I get those out. Long answer to a relatively short question, but that's kind of been my take on that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. RCDB, that's like I haven't done videos so much on the obscure coasters, but I'm also someone who's been interested. Obviously, like with Coaster Time, I also cover news of things that maybe aren't so out there so much. And so RCDB definitely is a big reason for that. It's like you just kind of, yeah, just do the random RCDB button and find some pretty interesting, weird looking coasters. I mean, so I can definitely see how that inspired you to make videos about them. And that's pretty cool that you're able to reach out to the people who've ridden the coasters. Some of the more difficult ones to find people who've ridden it and got their sort of take on it. That's pretty cool for sure. So nice to hear about that.
Definitely.
The next, oh wait, my bad. Do you have anything to add on to that?
No, I just agreeing with you. Yeah, thanks.
Alrighty. So the next question, we already had Mark from Coaster Dash on, but it's always interesting to get different, like, sort of answers or perspectives. And this is something that not very many people have done, so it's obviously very interesting. But my question was, what was it like to visit the SNS facility and try out the SNS Axis prototype?
Yeah, so Axis. So as you know, obviously Mark has ridden it. I believe it was 2019 when we did that. I have a childhood friend who I knew growing up. I was actually born in Hawaii and he was with me there. We've just grown up together. And he had a neighbor whose name's Josh Hayes, and he is one of the higher ranking people at SNS. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I'm a roller coaster enthusiast. Can we do this? And this was prior to me emailing SNS and getting rejected the first time. They said, no, we have these media days. We already have our people selected. Probably not going to happen. Well, I reached out to Josh. He got us connected. He was super cool, and we were able to come out and do that. I was able to bring along, Mark Coaster Dash, Max, the Coaster Dude 808. Some of you know Max. And then James Clark, who's a great friend of mine. I love James. He used to work for the channel with me. He's awesome. He's a big part of that. But we were able to go up and do it, obviously. My friend Taylor, Coaster Studios, obviously you guys probably know that name. He was there as well. So we were able to do Lagoon with them. And overall, Axis, I think, is the new thing. I'm honestly kind of astonished a park hasn't got one yet. There's obviously certain factors that play into it as to maybe why, obviously capacity, the technicality behind it. But in general, the prototype was awesome. It is super whippy. The forces on that are not comparable to any other coaster. You'd really just have to ride it yourself to I think fully understand it. I'm very grateful to have ridden that thing. I think I have one of the most unique experiences out there for sure. And I did go back a year ago, maybe even less than that, to do a documentary for them after I'd visited. And they have me out there to go and rewrite it and take footage for them. And there's actually a video on my channel now. I think it has over 100,000 views with that Axis documentary. So definitely check it out if you want to. But Axis was an awesome ride, and I hope we see one fairly soon. And I hope you guys all get to try it for sure.
Pretty cool story in terms of like how you were able to kind of get into the facility and the access, getting rejected the first time, but then keeping going and figuring out another way to get there. So that's actually really cool. And that's obviously really awesome. You've been able to do the access. I imagine we'll see one in the future. It's probably just a little scary for parks to be like, do I want to be the first one to do this? Just because it's a brand new coaster, brand new ride type, nothing in it. There's like nothing like it in the world. So
yeah.
That can be a little daunting, but it only takes one. And if it does well, they're probably going to be popping up a lot. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for there. But really cool to hear your experience about the um, the visit to the SNS facility, and the Axis. It looks super cool. So,
Yeah, that's
um,
awesome.
great answer there. And then my last question is about Wild Rivers Water Park. So you're involved with this with the water park in Irvine, California. It's recently reopened, and I remember that because you mentioned it on the Discord Q&A.
Yeah.
So my question kind of was with that. How did you get involved with the park, and what are some of your responsibilities in your role with the park?
Yeah. So Wild Rivers is awesome. And that's just beyond like self promotion. Our staff is super cool. We have a lot of coaster enthusiasts actually working at the park, surprisingly. Um, as far as getting involved with the park, we had a career fair come to our school, and I saw the Wild Rivers booth. The year I moved to California was also the year the old Wild Rivers closed. A lot of you know there was an original park. It's not in the same location now, but it was close. Um, and Wild Rivers was back. That was the little stand that was at the career fair. And there's a guy by the name of Mike Joya. He worked at Universal Studios for Hollywood for quite a while. And he was involved with this new park. And I just started talking to him about how I was in the whole coaster community thing. And he said, "Hey, you should consider come work for us and see what goes on." And he set me up with a meeting with the CEO of the park. His name's Mike Rydell. Um, and I met up for lunch with him and we discussed it. And I ended up in a marketing position at the park. So I now do lots of editing for TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram for Wild Rivers just because of my prior experience on my own channels. Obviously, the reason I'm here with you today with coasters. So that's kind of a brief rundown of how I've gotten involved, and it's a super fun job to have for sure. And like I said, the people there are awesome. Just as a side note too, I should shout them out. A lot of you probably know. Have you heard of the channel Ultimate Roller Coaster? Does that ring a bell?
It sounds familiar, but I'm not like super. I don't watch the content much, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So Ultimate Roller Coaster is essentially like the roller coaster database. It's one of the older channels that is still actually running, which is super cool. The director of guest experience at Wild Rivers is actually the guy that runs that page. And so it's been super fun. I work very closely with him. We're very much in the same area. My little office cubicle is right next to his. So um, it's super fun. We also have a ton of lifeguards that are enthusiasts. And I mean, even though it's a water park, we have a ton of coaster enthusiasts coming in every day. And that's exciting. So it'd be fun to see some of you guys come in, and maybe if you ever want to stop on by, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I might have to check it out at some point. It's in a relatively I mean, I'm still like probably like 3ish, 4ish hours away, but not too far of the way to get to, and I'm sure I can fit it in
Yeah.
with doing some other things. So that's definitely something that'll keep on my radar. But I mean, that's pretty cool. That I mean, it started out at a job fair at your school. You said that's pretty much where
Yeah.
it started. Yeah,
Yep. That's where it was.
that's pretty crazy. I guess hey, if those are out there, go to them. I did not do that because I think athletics kind of I was more committed to that, and sometimes the schedules didn't work out. But hey, I
Yeah.
guess if you're doing that, you never know what can come of it, and that's a pretty cool story about. I mean, that's just a pretty wild opportunity, all things considered. But
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, that
No, it was
was
super
really cool.
random. And even the career fair itself, I was only there for extra credit in an English class that I wanted to guarantee an A in. So I was like, I went not planning to get anything out of it other than get credit for being there. And now I have this job at this super cool park, and it's fun to be. Obviously, it's being built from the ground up since we started, and I've been in there since pretty much ground broke, and so it's been super cool to see a park in all of our world, this whole community, to see one come up, eyes open, and watch the whole thing and be part of it. It's super fun. So I'm very excited that it's open, and I'm glad we're able to operate now, and we have some really cool slides for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, to be able to kind of see everything from almost essentially the beginning. I mean, wow, That's really cool, and that's awesome that you got the opportunity to do that, and that your channel was a big part of that. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's really cool. So, yeah, great answer there. I get if you have anything else to add on to that, you can. Yeah, I guess now would be the time, and if not, we'll move on to the final Q&A.
Yeah, I think unless anyone else has questions, I'm good to move on as well. That's probably the best overview I can give of that.
Alrighty, that was a really good overview, actually. I mean, yeah, that was really good. So, props to you for that.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna head into the end of stream Q&A. Any questions you have, let us know. I was a little worried about time, but it looks like we actually are doing great. I was like hoping to get closer to 2 hours. Yeah, we're at 2 hours now, but this is definitely a good thing. So good on time. Have we ever heard of the Cannon coaster? It vaguely sounds familiar, but I wouldn't know much about it outside of that. So
Yeah,
not
I
for
have
me.
to agree. I'm not. Is that a slide or something? Let's look it up.
I like the name sounds super familiar, and I know I've heard it somewhere. Um, yeah, yes, it was this wooden coaster thing. It literally had like a cannon thing as its structure. It was really weird.
Oh, that is cool. I've actually never seen that.
Yeah,
Interesting.
oh, it
Yeah.
had a leap the gap maneuver. Oh boy.
No way.
At least they tried
That's
it.
crazy. Wow.
Yeah, that's a weird one for
Wow.
sure.
That's impressive. That I can't believe I've never heard of that. That's almost embarrassing for me. I feel like that's something I should know about. Wow. Very cool. Very cool.
Hey, I guess I don't. There's probably not a ton of footage or whatnot, but potential video subject maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Interesting.
Let's see. What else? For you, which of the obscure coasters you've covered do you want to ride the most, and which would you not want to ride? Good
Oh
question.
dear. Wow. That is a hard question. You know what? I think Orphan Rocker in Australia would be, if I could ride any, that would probably be it right now, just because that video took a lot of research and I feel very like a lot of times after you make these videos, you almost feel like you've ridden the ride at that point. But if you ever look at pictures or you've seen videos or you've seen that video I made on it, that is one of the most bizarre things ever. The cars literally rocked throughout the track. Had the weirdest banking ever. It had two sections where it almost went off a cliff. In fact, one of them pretty much did go off a cliff. And it looks like to be a really scenic ride. There was like 3 or 4 people that ever rode that thing. And the fact that it still stands today is also super intriguing to me. So that would be easily my probably if I could just ride one now. And one that I wouldn't even want to get near. Oh, there's been some really bad ones. There's been some weird stuff in China I've covered that I probably wouldn't want to ride. There's that really cursed coaster that's that inverted one that has that really warped Immelman that some of you may have seen on my Instagram page, and I did make a short video on it. I probably wouldn't want to attempt that. That or the suspended like hang glider looking thing at that one park in Mexico I made. You know that blue coaster I
Yeah,
was talking
that thing
about
is definitely a nope
on
for me.
Montaña Rusa a la Delta. That is the most painful looking, why does it exist, like thing ever. And that probably took me a week of straight research to make a video on. That was brutal, but well worth it. If you haven't seen that video, definitely check it out if you want to learn about one of the weirdest coasters to ever exist. Yeah.
I've seen your video on that one, so I would definitely recommend it for sure. I mean, if you've never even seen footage or anything of that coaster, it is actually like just complete insanity. Like, I don't know why it was built, but it was. So,
Yeah, it was gnarly.
favorite SoCal park?
Go for it.
Um, this one is unpopular opinion for coaster enthusiasts, but not so unpopular for just in general. It's Disneyland California. Um, Last year I had two really good visits to it, and even if the coasters like aren't exactly like super crazy, the overall ride collection is like incredible. The variety and like just how much there is to do, and the theming is all really good. So Disneyland's my favorite.
Yeah, I think mine would have to be probably, and again, it kind of depends on the conditions of the day, but Six Flags Magic Mountain never fails to provide I'm much more at parks for the thrill, I think. Um, so I think Six Flags Magic Mountain's my favorite park in SoCal.
That's fair. I've had some better and some worse experiences there. Nothing too horrible, but it's kind of it is sort of my home park, so
Yeah.
yeah. But I still really like it, for
Really.
sure. Let's see. I'm not gonna answer the overrated thing because I really don't want to get into that. Wouldn't be great for a host of a series where I literally bring on guests to mention an overrated YouTuber, but underrated. I don't know if I have like a specific one that's underrated, but like that's the most. But some that come to mind are Zero Credits Remaining, 808 Coaster Life, who's a very good friend of mine, so I'm a little biased there, but great channel. There's a lot really out there that I could mention, but those are like just the two that jumped like right out there. So those are some I would highly recommend.
Yeah, I think for me, as far as underrated goes, I don't know if it's one that I'd be like watching every day, but there's a kid named Coaster Dave. I've referenced him in a lot of my videos. I mean, he's literally a kid. He somehow knows and finds out things about these obscure coasters I cover that I don't know how he found out about them. But every time I'm able to verify, he's absolutely right. So like I did a video on Tom and Festival Bally's. There was some weird inverted technologies coaster with a 0G roll. I'm not sure if you saw that video. It was some abandoned park that got struck by lightning and closed. But he found footage of it that he sent me. I mean, this was just one of my fans from videos, and he's like, "Hey, I know you've wanted to do a video on this, but couldn't because there wasn't enough content. I have videos of this thing." And then he sent me a video, and I was like, "Where'd you find this?" And then there was another one of supposedly the world's steepest roller coaster with those little Asian ones that you've seen that I've made a video on. He found footage of that too after he reached out to some foreign park employee and asked for a video and got like some like really low quality, really janky vertical video of it operating. And I was like, that is the coolest thing ever. So I think Coaster Dave's underrated because he's just got so much stuff to share that I don't know where he gets it from, but it's pretty cool.
I know who you're talking about. I think he has like playlists that have like just a huge amount of like weird rides and weird
Yeah.
coasters.
Yeah, he
And
does. Coaster Dave's Attic is what it's called. And I've pulled probably 3 or 4 videos out of that. It's really funny.
yeah, no, there's some really cursed stuff there, but it's awesome that we have a place to find it relatively easily. So yeah, definitely worth a shout out there.
Yeah.
What's your rarest credit? I'm trying to think of mine. I don't know. I mean, I did Minor Mike at Adventure Dome, which, because it's a kiddie coaster and now it's defunct, it's rare. It's not really saying much, but, and outside of that, like, I mean, I've done the Six Flags Mexico, coasters, with, you know, Medusa Steel, Superman Ultimo Escape, Tsunami, and Joker, which, I mean, they're not like there's not you've done them, right? You've done Six Flags Mexico, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not like the rarest thing, but it's worth something, I guess, for sure. Oh, but right, my answer always to this is Pandemonium at Discovery Kingdom, because it was a spinning coaster. It only operated for like a few years there. I rode it, and then I also rode it again as Joker at Six Flags Mexico. So that's kind of a weird one where I have a bit of a history there. But yeah, I guess that's my answer.
I think mine's usually the same. The coaster itself is pretty boring, but we were on a lot of you know I live in California. I'm a big surfer, and I was on a surf trip with some friends down in Nicaragua, and there's only I think 2 or 3 verified coasters there, and we were driving down this back road, like literally there was like cows and all these kind of animals like everywhere, and we were in this little stick shift like super small van. My homie was up there driving, my dad was in the back, and I was sleeping on the window, and my friend like turned onto this back road for no reason because our in Nicaragua like Apple Maps doesn't work, and so we have this like super jank like third party app to like navigate us through the jungle to find these like secret surf breaks or whatever. And we got off on this dirt road and we were like going through the jungle. We like crossed a river. It was like literally out of a movie. And then we just pulled out of these trees and onto this like half paved road. And there's this like abandoned looking carnival. And I'm like, what is that? So I'm like, dude, like I woke up because I hit my head on the window. I was like, stop, we got to get out. Me and the homies, we all got out and we're looking around and we're like, oh, this is cool. And I see this like 13-year-old kid sitting on a curb smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, I wonder if he knows anything. And I don't speak Spanish, but my friend did. And so we were talking to him and he's like, oh yeah, this is our place. Like they had probably 6 or 7 super janky rundown flat rides. And he's like, you want to ride? And they were super excited to finally get some attendance. This is like one of my weirdest stories ever. I don't think I've ever told this. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, I want to ride. And so I went over to the Wacky Worm, which they had this little oval layout Wacky Worm. So stupid. And I just wanted to credit because it would have been one of the coolest things ever. And they kept trying to talk me out of it. Like, no, you don't want to ride that one. You want to go ride the Ferris wheel. They had a little fun wheel there. They're like, you want to go ride that? So I was like, no. I was trying to explain to them, like, I want the Wacky Worm. Like, we need to do that. And so they're like, okay. So they all take their shoes off. We get on the Wacky Worm. And by the way, the Wacky Worm, the front car, has the 2 little antennas. One of the antennas is busted off, and there's supposed to be 3 drive tires. There's only one there, and it's just completely stripped. And so I'm like, okay, so I have this picture. I wish I could pull it up for you guys. And I'm sitting on this Wacky Worm with all my buds behind me, and the cars are like rocking. The train's missing 2 road wheels beneath me, and I feel like I'm gonna fall. Dude gets behind, 3 of them get behind, these kids get behind the back of the Wacky Worm, and they start pushing it like physically up and around, and we do 3 cycles and we come off. I get a picture with them. I give them each like $5, which is like a ton of money down there, and they were in complete and utter shock. They were just going ham in that. And that was probably my rarest credit, is that stupid little Wacky Worm in the jungle in Nicaragua. That is my favorite coaster story I have to tell. I love that story.
That has to be. I mean, we've had some crazy stories on here because I've had Sean Flaherty, Canopy Coaster. You know, they got some crazy stuff. That might be the craziest thing I've heard. I mean, wow.
I think I have a story highlight actually. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh my god.
Here it is. I'll try and see if people can see it.
I'm gonna try to. Hold up.
You guys can see this. We're gonna go ahead and ride this was this little thing in the jungle. Here it is. There they are, pushing it. Dude, I don't know if you guys can see that, but that was just one of the most bizarre experiences ever.
I don't know if you could hear me, but I was like saying, yeah, I think they got a good view of it. That looked insane.
That was funny.
Oh my god.
All right, super long answer, but that's just my favorite story ever.
No, that was 100%, 110% worth it. I mean, that's why we do the streams, is for stuff like that. Wow, that is quite the story. Should be proud of that one. That's really good.
So bizarre, so bizarre.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Someone else asked, do you think you will ever reach 1,000 credits in life? I don't know if it's a goal I have, but maybe.
Yeah, it's not a goal particularly for me either, but I do a ton of traveling just outside of coaster stuff, and I'll usually hit parks while I'm doing that. So I think eventually, far off in the future, I'll get there. It'd be a funny number to hit. It'd be cool.
I mean, for me, I've focused um less and less on like I will not ride clones I don't like at parks. I just won't do it, and I'll
Yeah.
skip those. And kiddie coasters, I'm definitely skipping a lot more. So theoretically, I could probably like. I mean, I probably will hit the parks enough to the point where I could get 1,000, but I probably will like skip enough things where I don't know if that would happen, but that's a crazy number. It's hard to
Yeah.
really predict or fathom. Have you ever had a nightmare about coasters? Yes, I have. I had a nightmare before. I think a month or a few months before I went to, more like a month before I went to Cedar Point. I had a dream where the park got rained out, and so I got to
Oh,
ride nothing, and
dear.
that was the nightmare. We got to like walk around the park and everything, but nothing
Dang.
was open.
I must have weird dreams. I think my worst coaster nightmare, they put the Riddler's Revenge trains on X2 for no reason, and then it derailed on the outside Raven turn, and all got ejected and died. And then I woke up. It was the dumbest thing ever. And we've been screwing around on Planet Coaster the night before, just just torturing just DPs for no reason. And like I think that just had something to do with my random dream. Dumbest thing ever, but I remember waking up in a cold sweat, just being like, why was there stand-up trains on X2? And more importantly, why did I ride it? uh yeah, good times.
That's pretty crazy. Um, do we collect ride parts? I do have Wicked Twister. I do have a Twister track piece, but that's like it. That's all I have.
I don't actively collect things. I mean, if there's something that like I can get, I will, but like I'm not gonna pay $100 for a piece of Vortex personally. Maybe, well, maybe if I was there. But I think the only ride, like notable ride parts I have a seatbelt from Silver Comet at Fantasy Island, Martin's Fantasy Island. That's an SBNO CCI still, but the park is reopened now. It was abandoned for a bit there. I have a ton of park maps, I guess. Yeah, nothing that notable. I don't have wheels or anything like some guys do, but yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. The Wicked Twister thing is literally the only thing I have, and that costs a lot.
Yeah,
So,
I'll bet.
yeah, $215. Woohoo.
Steep. Hey,
Uh,
you have it. It's cool.
they did it because that was the height of the coaster. So they're like, yeah, I shudder to imagine if Dragster were to close, if they would do the same.
Oh dear.
They probably would, is my
Yeah,
guess. And that would be rough if they did.
that'd be very rough. 420. Ouch.
Yeah. Number one bucket list wooden coaster.
Does Voyage count? I'll say Voyage.
For me, man, that is difficult because Voyage was kind of like it was one and it was kind of alone like there for a while, and now I've done it.
Yeah.
So I haven't done any of the Intamin prefabs, but I don't think I'm gonna go that route. I think I'm actually going to say wood coaster in China at Night Valley, I think is the park it's at. I've heard that coaster's just insane, and if I can get a night ride on that thing, I don't know how doable that is. Apparently, it's just completely ridiculous. So
Yeah.
I want to do that. Wow, a lot of questions in here. Let's see. I'll try to hit up. I'll kind of try to narrow it a little bit. Um, let's see. Is Orion a Giga coaster? I say so. I
Yep.
know there's a lot of people who are like, no, but I think it is.
It's a Giga. Yeah.
Yep. Have you ever grayed or blacked out on a coaster? Yes, I have at least. Grayed out, not blacked.
I've grayed out, not blacked as well, and it's usually on the Helix on Goliath at Magic Mountain. That's
Yep, same.
Yeah.
That's the one element I always think of. Batman the Ride has also made me like always makes me gray out. That one's very consistent. And then weirdly enough, the helix, the figure eight helix thing on Orion also made me gray out. Really weird because like nothing else on that trip did, but that did for some reason, which I will say was quite intense, but
Yeah.
a bit
Backlash Stunt
surprising.
Coaster gets me a little bit too. That upwards helix after the launch gets me grayed out. But yeah, probably those two.
Yeah, I mean, and actually backlot stunt coaster, I was surprised. I enjoyed it quite a bit, so that was
That's good. Yeah.
a surprisingly good ride. Let's see what else. If you could name a coaster, what would you name it? That's a interesting question. Man.
I'd like Edgar. Like it'd be like something like it'd just be like a name. Like you'd be like Edgar or like Steve. Like something. I guess we already have Still Vengeance. Steve. Also not a particularly awesome coaster in my opinion.
Man, I would probably have to defer to some sort of animal name that hasn't been used yet. That sounds cool, and I'm not picking it. There's like I think something I've had before to answer this question, but I don't know. I can't think of it. I mean, I am borrowing from another ride, especially because I just did it. Oh wait, I don't think there's a coaster out there called like an actual roller coaster called Mammoth. There's like Mammut and things of that sort, but I feel like for a wooden coaster that'd actually be a pretty sick name. Like a big wooden coaster named Mammoth. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Stumped him. Okay, Mr. Ambassador.
Yeah. Let's see what else.
Good to see you here, Mr. Ambassador. He's super cool.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to there's like some people who've been asking a lot of questions. I'm trying to get to people who I've gotten less, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And actually, I think I'll end this in like 7 minutes, so I know we won't get to everyone's questions, but there's like a ton, so we'll kind of do it that way. If you can only do one, front or back row rest of your life. Wow. I'd go back row because I think there's more coasters where I'd prefer the back than the front. There are some I prefer the front, but I think in general, yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I think for me it's pretty easy. I'd pick front row. My top 5 coasters are all based on the premise that it's a front row ride. So
That's fair. I like for certain coasters that would suck. Like Orion, I really enjoyed in the front row recently, so that's one where I'd be like, man. And there's some other ones as well. I'm sure Millennium Force I would like most in the front row. So
yeah,
that would be kind of rough. Is Scream the only ride at Magic Mountain? I don't think it's actually terrible. I've said I don't really like it in the past. I think it's okay, but it's like my least favorite of the major coasters there, if that makes sense. But it's not bad. But it is my least favorite of like the major coasters they have there. So that's accurate.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement with that. I think it belongs in the lineup at Magic Mountain. Sure, it's a parking lot coaster. It's not that bad. It's not my first choice for a ride, that's for sure, but it's there. It's okay.
My dream, I've wanted it to get removed for a little while. Not necessarily like destroyed, but maybe relocated somewhere else.
Yeah.
And my dream for it, I mean, Airtime Thrills has mentioned this, but get rid of it and put an entrance there. That'd be pretty nice. Just because of the walk.
Yes. Please, that'd be awesome.
And the other option would be we're seeing more of these Vekoma tilt coasters, right? And we've even seen one in the Kidia concept art with the steampunk type theming. So I was thinking, why not put one in there where Scream is and have it tie into like that Scream punk area? I think that'd be pretty cool. If the fit made sense. I don't know if it could work with that land, but that'd
Yeah.
be kind of cool. Also, you'd get your dive coaster without actually being a dive coaster, so
Yeah.
there you
Very
go.
true.
Um, let's see. After sharing a video on a coaster, do you get this for you? Many comments or accounts from people who have been on the ride. Actually, I'm curious on this one.
I do. And a lot of times it's not enthusiasts. It's people who remember the ride as being notable for whatever reason it was. And I'm sure they just occasionally search it up. And I guess maybe mine was one of the top few and they clicked on it and happened to remember. Most interestingly, I did a video on Palisades Cyclone. There's also one I did on one of the Terrifying Triplets. Those were the Harry G. Traver ones. They were super gnarly wooden coasters. I had a guy leave a comment that when he was, I think at the time he commented it, I think he said he was 97, 98. And
Wow.
when he was 15, he and his friends had gone to the park and ridden that coaster. And he said to that point in his life and to the day that he'd commented that comment, that was probably one of the top 3 most intense and notable experiences of his life was riding one of the Terrifying Triplets. He said after they closed and as he got older, he just kept hearing more and more about it and just the experience got more and more crazy. I also had someone comment one time, I don't know if there's any truth to any of these. I can't verify. These are just random comments I've seen. Someone else was telling me they rode, which coaster was it? There was a really weird coaster I covered that I didn't think anyone had ridden, and they did ride it. It was a super high G looping one. I don't forget which one, but they'd said essentially that they blacked out and had to go to the hospital and were hospitalized for like 2 weeks, apparently. Again, I don't know the truthfulness of these things, but it was just a comment that I kind of remembered. Certain comments definitely stick out to you as a YouTuber, and you'll remember them.
Yeah, I mean, that 90-year-old guy, that is crazy though. I mean,
Yeah.
that is nuts. That definitely would be one that sticks out for sure.
Yeah, he'd mentioned too, he remembered there being about 5,000 people there opening day, and it was so packed that perimeter fences around the coaster, obviously a long time ago, you didn't have as much legality stuff. He said that the perimeter fences were pushed down and the crowd was so tightly packed to ride this coaster, they were pushing against the wooden supports of this ride, and it was physically moving the coaster, like with people underneath pushing up against it. I just think that'd be wild to see and be there for that. And again, what I think the coolest thing about it is just the fact that it was only 3 years ago. I was a 15-year-old kid running the theme parks with friends, right? And we're gonna have these stories too someday, and that's just really cool to think that coasters. We're not like this isn't like a new thing. Like coasters have been here. Like people have done them. Like it's crazy. It's totally bizarre, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's always interesting to think about that because at least for me, like guys like Sean Flaherty is like an example. He's ridden all these coasters that are now defunct, like Hypersonic XLC, for example, is one, and he got to attend the opening and media days of like rides like Montu and Top Thrill Dragster and like all
Yeah,
these rides that are like super iconic now and everything, but they got to ride it when it was new and it's like, well, in the future, probably not even too long from now, honestly, people are gonna be asking us like, what was this like? What was that like? I mean,
right.
yeah,
Totally.
it's
I
pretty
think about that all the
crazy.
time. It's so weird. Like that's why when even at Wonder Woman Media Day, I was thinking, right? Like, who knows, 30, 40 years from now, less than that, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, there was this ride Wonder Woman. Like, I'm gonna say, yeah, that was pretty good back in the day, and whatever new crazy coasters are out, that's gonna be like the way Viper is now at Magic Mountain, right? Wonder Woman's gonna be the new Viper. Like it's just weird to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. And I mean, I guess for me, I got to be the first one to ride it that day, so
Yep. Yeah.
outran everybody.
Oh
That was
man.
an experience.
I'll bet that was fun.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty. We are at 2:30. If there's any questions you see in the chat that you want specifically like to answer, you can let me know and we can answer it. But other than that, I think that's probably gonna wrap up the stream. So
Yeah, let's answer Epic Dude's 3 questions and then call it good. I think
okay,
he had a ton earlier that I'm not sure if we got to them or not. I wasn't really paying attention, but
these three.
yeah, let's do those. Those are
Okay,
good.
sounds good. Best 3 countries you've been to. This is for you. I've only been to 2.
What are your 2?
Well, the U.S. and
Yeah.
Mexico.
Cool. Okay. Top 3 countries for me. I've been to Mexico countless times for various reasons. Mexico's super cool, underrated. I like Mexico a lot. I think Panama's really cool. I've been there. Panama's awesome. Both there. And then probably Spain. Spain's awesome. So those are probably 3 good ones for sure. I'm hoping to add Japan soon. I need to get over to Fuji-Q, Nagashima, and all the parks in between. But yeah, those are probably my 3.
That's funny you mentioned Japan. I have not been, but it's probably, if I had to guess, the most likely next country I'm visiting because I have a friend who he's been there before. He has family there. He knows the transit system and everything. So it's like the trains and everything. So it's like we've discussed slightly going there, and maybe one of these few years it'll happen.
Yeah.
But until then, yeah, Mexico is all I got. But I will. For coasters, I mean, there's not a ton outside of Six Flags Mexico, but if you just like to visit some cool places, whether that's like buildings with cool architecture, like the old churches they have, or some cool like sites with that deal with ancient civilizations, like Chichen Itza or the Teotihuacan pyramids. There's a lot of cool stuff in Mexico, whether you're going to Mexico City, Cancun, Guadalajara. I've also been around there quite a bit because I have family over there. So I definitely will recommend it if you're into any of the things I mentioned.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement.
Roughest coaster you've been on?
Wildcat, Hershey Park, no doubt.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Mine, I'm gonna have to go with a boomerang on this one, and that's gonna be Boomerang at Discovery Kingdom. I rode it a few months ago, and it was unbelievably. Actually, wait, no, scratch that. Sorry, Boomerang at Knott's was actually rougher, and I did ride that before it died. But that one, that was the roughest one. Boomerang at Discovery Kingdom was a worse overall experience because I got really pinned into like the shoulder restraints, and it was really bad. But yeah. And then, which under construction coaster are you most excited for? Ooh.
Probably that new Vekoma tilt coaster, just because I want to see if it's improved.
There's 2 for me I'm thinking of. Airy Force 1 looks really exciting, so that, and then the new Parque Warner Madrid Intamin coaster, that thing looks insane. Oh, and how could you forget Two Titties is also looks insane. But I think I'm gonna go with the Parque Warner Intamin. That thing, we'll see what it ends up looking like, but it's still pretty mysterious right now, so I'm definitely very excited to see how it kind of comes along and everything. So I think that's going to have to be my answer for right now. That's definitely a intriguing ride.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe that new SFX coaster going to Genting Skyworlds too could be cool. I don't know if you've heard of that one yet.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
that one's had quite the history.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
because it was supposed to be themed to like Alien vs Predator, and it's like no, it's not happening. And yeah, it's had quite the history. At this rate, it's gonna open before Mission Ferrari, so that's kind of cool.
Probably. It probably will. Oh
Um,
dear. Mission Ferrari. What a headache.
yeah, I think it's scheduled to open next year. We'll
Yeah,
see if it makes it, but best of luck there.
for sure.
Alrighty, so I think that's gonna wrap it up. If you have any last things you want to say, now would be the time, and that'll pretty much wrap up the stream.
Not really. Just thanks for having me. It's been fun to talk coasters. I don't get to do this a whole lot. Definitely cool. And thanks to everyone who's been engaged with us this whole time. I think that's super cool that you guys are into it with us. The community's super fun. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And once again, huge thanks to you for making the time to do this and coming on. You've been a very highly requested guest on here for the channel. A lot of people have been like asking for you to come on, and I was like, I wanted to make that happen about as quickly as possible. So, yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, and it was a blast having you on. So,
Thanks. Yeah.
um,
Appreciate that.
yeah, thank you so much. And for those of you who somehow haven't checked out his channel yet, make sure to check out National Coasters. Great channel, and the link to his channel and social media are in the description. So make sure to check him out. With
Cool.
that being,
Thanks a lot.
oh, wait, sorry.
No, just thanks. Yeah. It's super cool. Definitely. And oh, see ya, Mr. Ambassador.
Yeah. Oh, actually, shoot, one more thing. I did a bad job doing this last time, but I don't do YouTube shoutouts like within the actual stream anymore, but there are YouTube shoutouts in the description, and they will be pinned in the comment that I release for the timestamps after this is recorded, I guess. So make sure to check those out if you haven't already. And that is pretty much all I have. So with that being said, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time here on Coaster Hour. See you guys.